She never saw the warehouse coming, but she should have seen him. What happens when the person you trust most is the reason you're running for your life? When safety becomes a lie and danger wears a familiar face? Tonight, we're diving into a story about Lila Hart, a woman who thought she knew her world until it shattered in a single Chicago night. Stick with me until the end, hit that like button, and drop a comment with your city so I can see how far this story travels. You won't believe where this goes. The train lurched to a stop at Monroe, and Lila Hart barely registered the doors opening. Her phone was pressed so hard against her ear that the edge bit into her cheekbone. Maya's voice crackled through the speaker, high and brittle. "Lila, please, I need you." "I'm coming." Lila squeezed between closing doors, her messenger bag catching on someone's elbow. "Maya, what happened? Are you hurt?" "Just come. Northwestern Memorial, 4th floor." The line went dead. Lila stared at her phone screen. The call log showed 11:47 p.m. Outside the train windows, Chicago blurred past in streaks of November cold, neon signs reflecting off wet pavement, skeletal trees bending under wind. She'd been cataloging returned books when Maya called. Now the Dewey Decimal System seemed like something from another lifetime. The woman beside her shifted, giving Lila a look that said, "Not my problem." Fair enough. In this city, everyone had their own emergencies. Lila pressed her forehead against the smudged glass. Her reflection stared back. Brown eyes too wide, dark hair escaping its ponytail. The kind of face people forgot 5 minutes after meeting. 24 years old, and she'd mastered the art of being invisible. It was safer that way. The train rattled into Chicago Avenue. She pushed through the evening crowd, college kids drunk on cheap beer, a businessman with his tie loosened, a mother clutching a sleeping toddler. Normal people living normal nights. She used to be one of them. The hospital loomed ahead, all glass and harsh light cutting through the darkness. Lila's breath came shorter. Not now. She couldn't do this now, but her chest was already tightening, that familiar vice grip of panic squeezing her ribs. Breathe, count. 4 in, hold, 6 out. The technique her therapist taught her. It usually worked. Usually. She made it through the lobby. Sanitizer smell, fluorescent buzz. A janitor mopping the same spot over and over. The elevator took forever. When the doors finally opened on 4, she nearly collided with a nurse. "Sorry," Lila muttered. The nurse didn't acknowledge her. Invisible again. She found Maya in room 447, sitting on the edge of a hospital bed, fully dressed. Not a patient. Relief flooded through Lila so fast it made her dizzy. "Maya, thank God. I thought, close the door." Lila hesitated. Maya's voice was wrong. Too flat, too controlled. "Maya?" "Close it, Lila." She did. The door clicked shut with a finality that made her skin prickle. Maya stood. She was beautiful the way models in magazines were beautiful. Sharp cheekbones, perfect skin, the kind of symmetry that made people do double takes. They'd been friends since high school, back when Maya was just another scholarship kid trying to survive. Now she worked in finance, wore clothes Lila couldn't pronounce the designers of, and lived in a Lincoln Park apartment that cost more than Lila made in a year. "I need to tell you something," Maya said, "and you need to listen without interrupting." "Okay?" "You're in danger." The words hung there. Lila's laugh came out nervous, uncertain. "What?" "There are people watching you, have been for months. I didn't know at first, I swear I didn't know, but..." Maya's perfect composure cracked. "I fucked up, Lila. I fucked up so bad." "Slow down, what are you talking about?" "The questions I've been asking you. About your schedule, your routines, where you go after work. I thought..." She pressed her palms against her eyes. "I thought I was helping someone find you because they cared. I didn't realize they were tracking you." Cold spread through Lila's stomach. "Who?" "I can't tell you that. Maya, I can't." Maya's voice broke. "If I tell you, they'll know. And if they know I warned you..." She trailed off, but the implication settled between them like ice. Lila's mind spun. This didn't make sense. She was nobody. A librarian who lived in a studio apartment in Rogers Park, who ate lunch alone, who hadn't been on a date in 8 months, who would watch her. "This is insane," she said. "Maya, if someone's bothering you, we can call the police." "The police can't help with this." "Then who can?" Maya pulled something from her pocket. A business card, edges worn like she'd been carrying it for a while. She pressed it into Lila's hand. If anything happens, if you feel like you're being followed, if something feels wrong, call this number. Don't ask me how I got it. Just promise me you'll call. Lila looked down. The card was heavy stock, expensive. No name, just a phone number embossed in silver. Maya, you're scaring me. Good. You should be scared. Maya grabbed her shoulders. Her fingers dug in hard enough to hurt. Go home. Lock your doors. Don't talk to anyone you don't know. And Lila... Her eyes were wet now, mascara starting to run. I'm sorry. I'm so fucking sorry. She left before Lila could respond, just walked out of the room, heels clicking down the hallway, disappearing around the corner. Lila stood there holding the card. Her hands were shaking. The panic attack hit her in the elevator. It started as pressure in her chest, then spread. Fingers tingling, vision tunneling, heart hammering so hard she thought it might crack her ribs. The elevator walls pressed closer. The lights were too bright. She couldn't breathe, couldn't think, couldn't... 4 in, hold, 6 out. It didn't work. 4 in, hold, 6 out. Her knees buckled. She slid down the wall, gasping, the card clutched in her fist. The elevator dinged. Lobby. Doors opened. A man stepped in. She registered shoes first, expensive leather, polished to a mirror shine. Then slacks, a dark coat. He hit a button, and the doors closed again. You all right? His voice was low, controlled. Concern without panic. The kind of voice that expected to be listened to. Lila couldn't answer. Black spots danced across her vision. She felt him crouch beside her, felt his hand, steady, warm, on her shoulder. Look at me. She did. The face that came into focus was sharp angles and controlled intensity. Dark eyes that missed nothing. Maybe 30, maybe older. The kind of handsome that felt dangerous. You're having a panic attack, he said. It feels like you're dying, but you're not. Can you breathe with me? He demonstrated, slow, deliberate breaths. She tried to match him, failed, tried again. That's it, he said. Again. Gradually, the vice grip loosened, the spots faded. She became aware that she was sitting on an elevator floor with a complete stranger's hand on her shoulder, and she jerked back. I'm fine. You're not. He stood, offered his hand. But you will be? She ignored the hand, pushed herself up. Her legs felt like water. Thank you, she managed. I'm okay now. The elevator dinged again, 2nd floor. He stepped out, then turned back. Lila Hart. Her blood turned to ice. How do you know my name? You should go home. Lock your doors. He paused. And keep that card close. The doors closed on his face. Lila stood frozen, staring at her reflection in the brushed metal. Her heart was racing again, but not from panic this time. He'd known her name. He'd known about the card. She pulled out her phone with shaking hands, pulled up Maya's number. It rang once, twice. The number you have dialed is no longer in service. Impossible. She'd talked to Maya 20 minutes ago. She tried again. Same message. The elevator reached the lobby. Lila stepped out into fluorescent brightness, into the smell of antiseptic, and the sound of monitors beeping from triage. Everything looked normal. Everything felt wrong. She pushed through the main doors into November, cold. The wind cut through her jacket like it wasn't there. Michigan Avenue stretched before her, mostly empty this time of night. A taxi idled at the curb. A couple argued outside a 24-hour diner. She started walking toward the Red Line station. Her apartment was 45 minutes north. 45 minutes on a train, then a 10-minute walk through streets that got darker with every block. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer, but something made her thumb hit accept. Hello? Static. Then a voice, distorted, mechanical. We know where you live, Lila. We know where you work. We know about the cafe on Morse where you get coffee every Tuesday. We know about your therapist appointments on Thursdays. We know everything. Her throat closed. Who is this? You have something we want. You just don't know it yet. I don't have anything. I don't know what you're talking about. You will. A pause. Run, little librarian. Let's see how far you get. The line went dead. Lila stood on the sidewalk, phone pressed to her ear, listening to silence. Around her, Chicago moved through its ordinary night. Cars passing. A bus hissing to a stop. Someone laughing in the distance. She looked over her shoulder. Nothing. No one. But the feeling was there. Eyes on her back, watching, waiting. She started walking faster. The red line station glowed ahead like salvation. Just get on the train, just get home. Figure this out at home where it was safe, where she could lock the door and call the police, and a car pulled up beside her. Black sedan, windows tinted, it matched her pace. Lila's walk became a jog. The car accelerated. The train station was 2 blocks away. She could make it. She could... The car door opened while it was still moving. A man got out. Tall, broad, moving with purpose. Lila ran. Her messenger bag slammed against her hip. Her shoes, stupid flats, not made for running, slipped on wet pavement. Behind her, footsteps. Getting closer. The station entrance was right there. She could see the stairs going down, could see the glow of the platform. A hand grabbed her arm. She screamed, twisted, her elbow connecting with something solid. The grip loosened. She wrenched free, stumbled forward, and slammed into another man who'd appeared from nowhere. He caught her wrist. Enough! She tried to pull away, but his grip was iron. Over his shoulder, she saw the first man recovering, wiping blood from his lip where her elbow had caught him. Please, she gasped. Please, I don't have any money. We don't want your money. The second man pulled her toward the sedan. The door was still open, engine running. She dug her heels in, but the sidewalk was slick, and he was too strong. Help! Her scream cut through the night. Someone help me! A window opened in the apartment building above them. A face appeared, then disappeared. The window closed. No one was coming. The man shoved her toward the car. She grabbed the door frame, fighting, her fingers slipping on metal. He grabbed her hair, yanked her head back. Pain exploded through her scalp. Tears blurred her vision. Then he screamed. His grip released. Lila fell forward, catching herself on the car. She spun around. The man who'd grabbed her was on the ground. Standing over him was the stranger from the elevator. Get in my car. He didn't look at her, eyes fixed on the 2 men. Now, Lila. I don't know you. You have 3 seconds to decide if you trust me more than them. The first man was pulling something from his jacket. The motion was familiar, practiced. Lila had seen enough movies to know what came next. She ran, not toward the stranger's car, toward the station. Down the stairs, fumbling for her transit card, her hands shaking so hard she dropped it. She left it, jumped the turnstile, heard someone yell behind her. The platform was nearly empty. An old man sleeping on a bench. 2 teenagers making out against a pillar. The sign said the next train was 3 minutes away. She didn't have 3 minutes. Footsteps on the stairs. She looked back. One of the men from the sedan was coming, moving fast. Lila ran down the platform. There was an exit at the far end. She'd used it before. If she could just... The man was faster. His hand caught her shoulder, spun her around. She saw his face up close. Average features. Forgettable, except for the eyes. Cold. Professional. Make this easy, he said. She tried to scream. His hand clamped over her mouth. Then his head snapped back. The stranger from the elevator had him by the collar, pulling him away from Lila with one hand. With the other, he did something. Lila didn't see what. It was too fast, and the professional killer crumpled. Come on. The stranger grabbed her hand. We're leaving. The train is too slow. He pulled her back up the stairs, moving so fast she nearly fell. Her lungs burned. The night air hit her face like a slap. A car was waiting at the curb. Not a sedan. Something sleek and low and expensive. The stranger opened the passenger door, practically shoved her in. Seatbelt. She fumbled with it. He slid into the driver's seat, and the engine came alive with a purr that spoke of money and power. They pulled away from the curb just as the first man from the sedan emerged from the station. The stranger accelerated smoothly, merging into late-night traffic like they had all the time in the world. Lila's whole body was shaking. She pressed her hands against her thighs, trying to make it stop, but the tremors went bone deep. Who are you? Her voice came out broken. Someone who keeps promises. That's not an answer. It's the only one you're getting right now. He took a turn without signaling, eyes checking the mirrors constantly. Are you hurt? No, I don't know. Who were those people? The ones who've been watching you for the past 6 months. The bottom dropped out of her stomach. 6 months. Give or take. That's impossible. I would have noticed. You wouldn't have. He said it with certainty. They're professionals. Paid well to be invisible until they're not. Lila's hands were still shaking. She balled them into fists. Where are you taking me? Somewhere safe. I want to go home. Your home isn't safe. They know where you live, Lila. That wasn't a bluff on the phone. The phone call. The mechanical voice. Run, little librarian. How do you know about that? I know everything about you. He glanced at her just for a second. What you eat for breakfast. Where you hide your spare key. How long it takes you to fall asleep. The nightmares you have about your mother. Horror washed over her in waves. You're one of them. No. Then what are you? The reason you're still breathing. He took another turn. They were heading north, away from downtown. The buildings got shorter, the streets darker. Lila didn't recognize this neighborhood. She reached for the door handle. Wouldn't recommend it, he said calmly. We're doing 60. Let me out. Can't do that. I'll scream. Go ahead. These windows are soundproof. She tried the handle anyway. Locked. Of course it was locked. The panic was coming back, black edges creeping into her vision. She couldn't breathe in this car, couldn't think, couldn't... Lila, his voice cut through the spiral. Look at me. She didn't want to, but she did. I'm not going to hurt you, he said. I'm trying to keep you alive. There's a difference. Why should I believe you? Because if I wanted you dead, you'd be dead. I've had 100 opportunities. He returned his attention to the road. I saved your life tonight. That counts for something. You could have called the police. The police can't help you. Maya said the same thing. His jaw tightened. Just a fraction, but she saw it. You know her, Lila said. You know Maya. I know what she did. What does that mean? He didn't answer. They drove in silence for several minutes. The city gave way to industrial spaces, warehouses, distribution centers, places that looked abandoned in the dark. Lila's heart hammered. This was it. This was where horror movies happened. The car pulled into a gated driveway. The gate opened automatically. They drove through. Lila expected a warehouse, a basement, something out of a nightmare. What she got was a house. Not just a house, an estate. Even in the dark, she could see it was massive, modern architecture, all glass and clean lines, perched on what looked like several acres of manicured grounds. Where are we? Lake Forest. Rich people territory, the kind of place Lila had only seen in magazines. He parked in front of the main entrance. The car doors unlocked with a soft click. Come on. I'm not going in there, he sighed. Actually sighed, like she was being unreasonable. Lila, you have two choices. You can come inside where it's warm and safe, or you can sit in this car all night. Either way, you're not leaving until we talk. About what? About why they want you. About what you are to them. He met her eyes. About your mother. Lila's breath caught. Don't you dare... She made me promise. His voice softened. Just barely, but enough. Before she died, she made me promise I'd keep you safe. And I have been, Lila. For 15 years, I have been. 15 years. She'd been 9 when her mother died. Breast cancer that spread faster than anyone expected. There'd been no money for experimental treatments, no miracle cure, just hospice and morphine, and her mother's hand growing lighter in hers until one day it was just gone. You're lying. I wish I was. He opened his door. Please, just come inside. Hear me out. If you want to leave after that, I'll drive you wherever you want to go. She didn't believe him, couldn't believe him, but she was cold and scared and so tired of being afraid. She got out of the car. The front door opened before they reached it. A woman stood in the entrance, 50-something, gray hair pulled back, wearing slacks and a sweater like it was the middle of the day instead of past midnight. Mr. Voss, you're late. Had to make a detour. He gestured to Lila. This is her. The woman's expression softened. Ms. Hart, we've been expecting you. I'm Margaret. Please come in. The entry hall was the size of Lila's entire apartment. Marble floors, a staircase that curved upward like something from a movie. Art on the walls that probably cost more than she'd make in her lifetime. I'll make tea, Margaret said, already moving toward what Lila assumed was the kitchen. Coffee, the man, Voss, Margaret had called him, corrected. She doesn't drink tea. How did he know that? Margaret nodded and disappeared. Voss shrugged off his coat. Underneath, he wore a dark shirt that fit him like it was custom made. Probably was. This way. He led her through a hallway into a room that was clearly an office. Floor-to-ceiling bookshelves, a desk that looked like it had been carved from a single piece of wood, leather chairs positioned in front of a fireplace that wasn't lit. Sit. Lila remained standing. I want answers. And you'll get them. Sit down, Lila. Stop saying my name like you know me. I do know you. He moved to a cabinet, poured something amber into a glass. I know you reorganize your bookshelves when you're anxious. I know you mouth the words when you read. I know you still sleep with a nightlight because the dark reminds you of the hospital room where your mother— Stop! Her voice broke. Just stop! He did. Drank whatever was in the glass. Watched her with those dark eyes that seemed to see through everything. Your mother's name was Caroline Hart, he said finally. Born in Iowa. Moved to Chicago at 18. Worked as a nurse. Never married, but she had you. And she loved you more than anything in this world. Tears burned behind Lila's eyes. She blinked them back. She also had a secret, Voss continued. Something she never told you because she hoped it would die with her. That you could live a normal life, be invisible, safe. What secret? She witnessed something she shouldn't have. Something that powerful people would kill to keep quiet. He set down the glass. And because she witnessed it, because she refused to forget, she became a target. I was assigned to protect her. I failed. The room felt too small. Lila's chest was tight again. You're saying my mother was murdered. I'm saying the cancer was real. The timing was unfortunate, and the people who wanted her silent made sure she died before she could talk. That's insane. Is it? He moved closer. Or does it explain why a 24-year-old librarian with no money, no connections, no power, suddenly has professional surveillance? Why your best friend was used to gather intel on you? Why men tried to kidnap you off a Chicago street? Lila's legs gave out. She sank into one of the leather chairs. What did she see? She whispered. A murder. And not just any murder, the kind that involves politicians, money, and people who don't leave witnesses. He crouched in front of her, bringing himself to eye level. She recorded it, hid the evidence somewhere safe, told me where it was before she died. Where? With you. Lila's laugh came out bitter. I don't have anything. My mother left me nothing but medical bills and a studio apartment full of secondhand furniture. She left you more than that. You just don't remember. Margaret appeared with coffee, set it on the desk without a word, and left. Voss poured a cup, added cream without asking if Lila wanted any. She did, but that wasn't the point. He handed it to her. Drink, you need it. She took the cup because her hands needed something to hold. The coffee was perfect. She hated that. I've spent 15 years keeping my promise to your mother, Voss said. Watching from a distance. Making sure you stayed safe. Making sure they didn't realize what you had. What do I have? A memory. Of what? That's what we need to figure out. He sat in the chair across from her. Your mother told me she hid the recording in the safest place she could think of. Somewhere no one would think to look. I assumed she meant a physical location. A safety deposit box? A storage unit? But I was wrong. Understanding crept in slowly, then all at once. She hid it in my head. Yes. That's impossible. I was 9. I don't remember anything unusual from back then. Memory is complicated, especially childhood memory. He leaned forward. But trauma has a way of locking things away, and sometimes, with the right trigger, those locks open. Lila set down the coffee before she dropped it. Her hands were shaking again. This is crazy. You're talking about brainwashing or hypnosis or... I'm talking about a mother who loved you enough to protect you the only way she knew how. His voice was gentle, devastatingly gentle. And I'm talking about men who will torture you for information they think you have, who will use every person you love as leverage, who will make you beg for death before they're done. The room spun. Lila gripped the arms of the chair. Why now? She managed. If they've been watching for 6 months, why come after me now? Because 6 months ago, someone accessed your mother's old medical records, triggered an alert in their system. They know something's changed. They're afraid you're starting to remember. But I'm not. I don't remember anything. Are you sure about that? She opened her mouth to say yes, but the word stuck. Because there had been dreams. Strange, fragmented dreams that didn't make sense. A woman's voice, a hotel room, the smell of chlorine and copper. She'd mentioned them to her therapist, who'd said they were probably just anxiety manifesting. The dreams, she whispered. Voss nodded. They're breaking through. Your mind is trying to tell you something. I don't want to know. I understand, but wanting and surviving aren't the same thing. He stood. You can stay here tonight. Margaret prepared a room. In the morning, we'll figure out next steps. I'm not staying here. Where else will you go? Your apartment's been compromised. Maya's disappeared. He saw her expression. Yes, disappeared. Her phone's off. Her apartment's empty. They got to her after she warned you. Horror crashed over Lila. Is she? I don't know. I hope not. But I can't protect her and you at the same time. He moved toward the door. I chose you because that's what I promised your mother. I didn't ask for this. No one does. He paused in the doorway. Margaret will show you to your room. There are clothes in the closet that should fit. Bathroom's stocked. If you need anything, there's a phone by the bed. Don't call anyone. Don't text anyone. Don't let anyone know you're here. What about the people I work with? They'll expect me tomorrow. I'll handle it. How? You don't want to know that either. He left. Lila sat alone in the office, holding a cup of coffee she didn't want, in a house that felt like a prison, with questions multiplying faster than answers. Her phone was in her bag. She pulled it out. 11 missed calls, all from numbers she didn't recognize. 23 texts from unknown contacts. She opened the most recent one. You can't hide forever. Her hands were shaking so badly she almost dropped the phone. There was a photo attached. It took her a moment to understand what she was looking at. Then her stomach turned over. It was her, asleep in her apartment, taken from inside, taken from the foot of her bed. Someone had been in her room while she slept. The phone slipped from her fingers. It hit the floor, but she didn't pick it up. Couldn't pick it up. Margaret appeared in the doorway. Ms. Hart, are you ready to see your room? Lila looked up at her. This woman with kind eyes and gray hair who'd made perfect coffee and probably knew exactly what Lila had just seen. Did you know my mother? Margaret's expression shifted, just for a second. I knew of her. Mr. Voss spoke highly of her, said she was brave. Brave? The word tasted bitter. She got herself killed. She protected you. That's its own kind of courage. Margaret offered her hand. Come. You need rest. Lila let herself be led. Let herself follow this stranger through a strange house full of expensive things and dark corners. Let herself be shown to a bedroom that was bigger than her entire apartment, with windows overlooking grounds she couldn't see in the dark. There's a lock on the door, Margaret said, and Mr. Voss's room is right next door. You're safe here, Ms. Hart. I promise. After Margaret left, Lila did lock the door. Then she checked the windows. Locked. The closet, empty except for clothes that did, somehow, fit her perfectly. The bathroom, stocked with toiletries, all her preferred brands. He'd been telling the truth. He did know everything about her. She should have been terrified. She was terrified. But underneath the terror was something else. Something that felt almost like relief. Because for the first time in her life, someone knew who she was, really knew, and hadn't left. She changed into the softest pajamas she'd ever worn, brushed her teeth with a toothbrush that had never been used, and climbed into a bed that felt like sleeping on a cloud. The nightlight was already on, plugged in beside the bed, casting a warm glow. He'd thought of everything. Lila closed her eyes, waited for sleep that wouldn't come. Instead, she lay there listening to the unfamiliar sounds of an unfamiliar house, holding on to the business card Maya had given her, wondering if her best friend was still alive, wondering if she'd ever feel safe again, wondering what her mother had hidden inside her head and what it would cost to get it out. Outside, winter wind rattled the windows. Somewhere in Chicago, men were planning, watching, waiting. And in the room next door, Adrian Voss sat in the dark, gun within reach, keeping a promise he'd made to a dying woman 15 years ago. Neither of them slept. Morning came too early and not at all. Lila had drifted in and out of something that wasn't quite sleep, jerking awake every time the house settled or the heating system kicked on. When gray light finally seeped through the curtains, she felt worse than if she'd stayed up all night. She found clothes laid out on the chair by the window, dark jeans that fit perfectly, a cashmere sweater in deep blue, undergarments still in packaging. The wrongness of it made her skin crawl. Someone had come into the room while she slept, or pretended to sleep, and she hadn't heard a thing. The shower was hot enough to hurt. She stood under it until her skin turned pink, trying to wash away the feeling of being watched. It didn't work. That feeling had burrowed under her skin, taken up residence in her bones. When she finally emerged, hair still damp, she found Margaret waiting in the hallway. "Breakfast is ready," the older woman said. "No good morning, no small talk, just facts." "I'm not hungry." "Mr. Voss insists." "I don't care what he insists." Margaret's expression didn't change. Nevertheless. The dining room was all windows and winter light. Adrian sat at one end of a table that could seat 12, reading something on a tablet, a cup of black coffee at his elbow. He looked up when she entered. "You didn't sleep." It wasn't a question. "How would you know?" "The security feed showed your light on and off all night." He set down the tablet. "Sit, eat." The table was covered with food: scrambled eggs, bacon, fresh fruit, pastries that looked like they'd come from a bakery. Lila's stomach turned. "I said I'm not hungry." "Your body disagrees. You're shaking." She looked down at her hands. He was right. Damn him. She sat. Not because he told her to, but because her legs were unreliable and she refused to collapse in front of him again. Margaret appeared with a plate, loading it with eggs and bacon before Lila could protest. Then coffee, cream already added. "I can serve myself." "I'm sure you can," Margaret said mildly, and left. Adrian watched her. Lila ignored him, focusing on the eggs. They were perfect. She hated that too. "We need to talk about what happens next," he said. "What happens next is you take me home." "No. You said if I stayed and listened, you'd take me wherever I wanted to go." "I lied." The fork slipped from her hand, clattering against the plate. "Excuse me?" "You're not leaving. Not until we figure out what your mother hid and how to access it." He drank his coffee like they were discussing the weather. "After that, we'll see. You can't keep me here." "I can. I am." Lila stood so fast her chair scraped back. "This is kidnapping. This is survival." His voice remained level, infuriatingly level. "Those men last night? That was their polite attempt. Next time, they won't try to grab you off the street. They'll take everyone you care about, your coworkers, your neighbors, that barista who knows your order, and they'll hurt them until you cooperate. Is that what you want?" "Of course not." "Then sit down and eat your breakfast." She wanted to throw the plate at his head, wanted to scream, to break something, to make him feel even a fraction of the chaos tearing through her. Instead, she sat, because he was right and she hated it. "How long?" she asked quietly. "As long as it takes." "That's not an answer." "It's the only one I have." They ate in silence. Lila forced down eggs that tasted like ash. Adrian scrolled through his tablet, occasionally frowning at whatever he read. "What are you looking at?" she finally asked. "Reports, security feeds, financial records." "Whose?" "Yours? Your friends? Anyone who's been in contact with you in the past year." The violation of it stole her breath. "You have no right." "I have every right. Your mother gave it to me." He turned the tablet so she could see. "This is Maya's bank account. Notice anything interesting?" Lila looked, rows of numbers that meant nothing to her. "I don't—" 3 deposits over the last 6 months, 5,000 each, came from a shell company registered in Delaware. He zoomed in. "She was being paid to watch you." The eggs threatened to come back up. "No, Maya wouldn't." "She did. Whether she knew what she was really doing is debatable. But she took the money." He pulled the tablet back. "I'm sorry." "Don't. Don't you dare apologize like you care. I do care. Your pain makes this harder." He stood. "Finish eating. We have work to do." "What kind of work?" "The kind that might keep you alive." He left her there. Lila stared at the eggs congealing on her plate, at the coffee going cold, at the fruit she'd never touch. Through the windows she could see grounds covered in frost, trees skeletal against gray sky, beautiful and empty, like a cage made of glass. She found him in the office from last night. He'd changed clothes, dark slacks, white shirt with the sleeves rolled up. Working uniform. On the desk was a laptop, several phones, and a file folder thick with papers. "Close the door," he said without looking up. She did. "What is this?" Everything I know about what your mother witnessed. He gestured to a chair. Sit. This will take a while. Lila sat. He slid the folder across to her. 15 years ago, your mother worked night shifts at a hotel, the Grandview on North Michigan. She was picking up extra hours to pay for daycare. On the night of March 17th, she witnessed a murder in room 1423. Lila opened the folder. The first page was a police report. Suicide, it said. No foul play suspected. The official story, Adrian continued, is that Richard Brennan, a lobbyist with connections to half of Springfield, killed himself. Gunshot to the head. Left a note. Case closed. But your mother saw two men leave that room minutes before the shot was fired. Saw them get into an elevator laughing. She reported it to hotel security. Security told her to forget it. She didn't. Lila turned pages. Crime scene photos. The hotel room looked ordinary except for the body slumped in the chair and the blood painting the wall behind him. She started asking questions, Adrian said, made calls, eventually caught the attention of someone who took her seriously, a detective named Marcus Chen. He looked into it, found inconsistencies, the angle of the bullet, powder residue in the wrong places. 2 weeks into his investigation, he died in a car accident. Let me guess. Not really an accident. Brake line cut. Very professional. Adrian's jaw tightened. Your mother knew then what she was dealing with, but she'd already made copies of everything Chen had gathered, added her own notes. Security footage she had smuggled out of the hotel, and she recorded a video statement detailing everything she saw. Why not go to the police? Because the men she saw in that hallway included the deputy mayor and a state senator. He met her eyes. The police couldn't be trusted. The FBI couldn't be trusted. She was alone with information that could destroy powerful people. So she hid it. Lila's hands were shaking again. She set down the folder before she dropped it. And then what? She just went on with her life? For a while, she thought, hoped they'd given up, that enough time had passed. Then she got sick. His voice went soft. The cancer was real, Lila. I checked, but the timeline was suspicious. She went from healthy to terminal in 6 months. That can happen naturally, but you don't think it did. I think she was poisoned, something slow-acting, undetectable. By the time symptoms showed, it was too late. The room spun. Lila gripped the arms of the chair. She knew, Adrian continued. Near the end, she knew what they'd done. That's when she called me. We'd worked together briefly when she first started asking questions. I was younger then, stupider, thought I could protect her through official channels. After Chen died, I went private, started my own security firm. When she called, I came. And she told you about me. She told me everything. He pulled out another folder. This one had Lila's name on it. She made me promise I'd watch over you, keep you safe, make sure they never found out what she'd hidden. Lila opened the folder. Inside were photos. Her at 9, gap-toothed and smiling. At 13, awkward and angry. At 17, graduation cap askew. At 23, leaving the library where she worked, every year of her life, documented, cataloged. You've been watching me for 15 years. Yes. That's insane. That's the job. She threw the folder at him. Papers scattered. He didn't flinch. I'm not a job. I'm a person. And you've been stalking me, watching me sleep, learning my routines like some kind of... She couldn't find the word, couldn't breathe around the rage choking her, like someone keeping a promise to a dying woman. He gathered the papers calmly. I know you're angry. You have every right to be. But your anger doesn't change the facts. You're in danger. You have been since the day you were born. And I'm the only thing standing between you and people who will do worse than kill you. Why should I believe anything you say? Because I'm still here. He straightened the papers, slid them back into the folder. I could have walked away at any time. Should have, probably. This job has cost me relationships, opportunities, peace of mind. But I made a promise, and I keep my promises. Something in his voice made her look up. Really look. There were lines around his eyes she hadn't noticed before. Gray threaded through his dark hair at the temples. He looked tired. How old are you? She asked. 34. You said you were younger when you met my mother. 19. Thought I could save the world. A bitter smile. She taught me otherwise. Did you love her? The question surprised them both. Adrian's expression shuddered. That's not relevant. You just told me you've spent 15 years of your life watching over her daughter. I think it's relevant. He was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was carefully neutral. I admired her. She was brave and stubborn and refused to look away from ugly truths. But love? He shook his head. I was too young to know what that meant. By the time I figured it out, she was dying. Lila felt something shift in her chest. Not sympathy. She wasn't ready for that. But understanding, maybe. The beginning of it. I need air, she said. The grounds are secure. Margaret can show you. Alone. I need to be alone. He studied her, then nodded. Don't go past the tree line. Security gets twitchy. She left before he could change his mind. Found her way back through the house, so many rooms, all pristine and empty, until she reached a door that opened onto a stone terrace. The cold hit her like a wall. She hadn't grabbed a coat, but she didn't care. She needed to feel something other than trapped. The grounds stretched out before her. Frost-covered lawn, bare trees, a stone path leading to what looked like a gazebo in the distance. Everything was gray and white and skeletal. Dead or sleeping, hard to tell the difference. She walked. Past dormant flower beds and a fountain drained for winter. Her breath came out in clouds. Her fingers went numb. She kept walking. The gazebo had a bench. She sat pulling her knees to her chest, trying to make herself small. The sweater wasn't warm enough. She shivered and didn't move. This was her life now, this cage, this fear, this man who'd watched her grow up from a distance, cataloging her life like she was a specimen under glass. Her mother had done this, with good intentions probably, to protect her. But the result was the same. Lila's whole life had been a lie. Every moment of supposed normalcy had been manufactured, monitored. She'd thought she was invisible. Turned out she'd been the most visible person in any room. You'll freeze out here. She didn't turn. Adrian's voice came from behind her. Good. Dramatic, but impractical. He came around the gazebo holding a coat, her coat, the one from her apartment. Arms up. I don't care what you want. You're already shaking. He draped it around her shoulders. Dying of hypothermia doesn't solve anything. The coat smelled like her apartment, like the life she'd had yesterday, like freedom. She pulled it tighter. Adrian sat beside her, not too close, but close enough that she could feel his warmth. They sat in silence for a while. Around them, winter held everything still. I know you hate me, he said finally. I don't know you well enough to hate you. Fair point. More silence. A bird called somewhere, lonely and distant. My mother, Lila said quietly. At the end. Was she scared? Yes. The honesty hurt worse than a lie would have. But not for herself, Adrian continued. For you. She was terrified of what would happen after she was gone, whether I could actually keep you safe, whether hiding the evidence in your memories would work or just condemn you to a different kind of death. How did she do it? Hide something in my head? I don't know the specifics. She wouldn't tell me. Said it was safer if only she knew. He paused. But I think it was during those last weeks, when you were at the hospital with her every day. She had time alone with you, time to talk, to share stories, to plant something in the landscape of your memory. Lila tried to remember, but those weeks were a blur of beeping machines and antiseptic smell, and watching her mother disappear by degrees, she'd blocked most of it out. I can't remember. Not yet, but you're starting to. The dreams you mentioned, those are cracks in the wall she built. What if I don't want to remember? Then they'll keep coming for you until they break you. And trust me, Lila, they're very good at breaking people. She looked at him, really looked. You sound like you know from experience. His jaw tightened. Everyone breaks eventually. It's just a matter of how long you hold out and what's left when you're done. Have you broken? Once. He said it flatly. Learned from it. Made sure it wouldn't happen again. How? By becoming something harder to break. She wanted to ask what that meant, what it cost. But the look in his eyes stopped her. Some doors were meant to stay closed. I'm freezing, she said instead. Come on, Margaret made soup. They walked back to the house together, not touching, but side by side. The frost crunched under their feet. Inside, warmth hit her like a drug. Her cheeks burned as circulation returned. Margaret appeared with towels, tisking over Lila's wet hair and red hands. "Foolish," she muttered. "You'll catch your death." "Wouldn't be the worst thing," Lila said. Margaret's expression sharpened. "Yes, it would." Lunch was soup, thick, rich, probably homemade. Lila ate because her body demanded it. Adrian worked on his laptop, occasionally frowning at the screen. "What?" she asked finally. "Maya's apartment is being cleaned out." Lila set down her spoon. "What does that mean?" "It means someone's erasing evidence. Professionally." He turned the laptop so she could see. Security footage showed men in coveralls carrying boxes out of a familiar building. "They're making it look like she moved. Forwarding address in Portland. Very thorough. Is she alive?" "I don't know." "Can you find out?" "I'm trying." He pulled the laptop back. "I have people checking hospitals, morgues, transit records. But if they wanted her to disappear, then she disappeared." "Yes." Lila pushed away her bowl, suddenly couldn't stomach anymore. "This is my fault. If I hadn't—" "Don't." Adrian's voice was sharp. "Maya made her choices. You're not responsible for other people's decisions. She was my friend. She was paid to spy on you. That changes things." "Does it? Or does it just make it easier for you to write her off?" He closed the laptop. "I don't have the luxury of sentiment. Neither do you. Not anymore." "So what? I'm just supposed to stop caring." "I'm saying you need to prioritize survival over grief. Grief is for after." He stood. "Come on, we have work to do." "What kind of work?" "Memory work." The room he took her to was smaller than the others. No windows, comfortable chairs, a couch, soft lighting. It looked like a therapist's office. "What is this?" "A safe space for you to remember." He gestured to the couch. "Sit. I'm not doing hypnosis or whatever. No hypnosis. Just talking, remembering." He sat in one of the chairs. "Your mother had to hide the information somewhere you'd access naturally, but not consciously. Probably tied it to a memory or series of memories that feel normal, but contain embedded information." That sounds like science fiction. "It's psychology. Memory is malleable. She knew that. Used it." He pulled out a notebook. "I'm going to ask you questions about those last weeks with her. You answer. Don't overthink it. Just say whatever comes to mind." Lila sat reluctantly. "This won't work." "Maybe not. But we're trying anyway." He clicked a pen. "When you visited her in the hospice, what did you talk about?" "I don't know. Normal things. School. My friends." "What else?" "She'd tell me stories. About when she was young. About my grandparents, her parents. I never knew them. About places she wanted to visit but never did." "What places?" "I don't remember." "Try." Lila closed her eyes. Tried to go back 15 years. To that room that smelled like death pretending to be sleep. To her mother's voice getting weaker every day. "Paris," she said slowly. She wanted to see Paris. The museums. She loved art. What else? Rome. Greece. She had this book of photographs, classical architecture. She'd show me pictures and tell me about the history. "Do you still have the book?" "No, Lila frowned. "I don't know what happened to it. After she died, most of her things were donated. I kept some clothes, a few photos, but the book—" "Describe it." "Why does this matter?" "Describe it, Lila." She huffed. "It was big, heavy, blue cover, gold lettering, lots of photographs, full color, really beautiful. She'd mark pages with sticky notes, show me her favorites." "Did she ever ask you to remember specific ones?" Lila stopped. There was something, just at the edge of memory. "She'd quiz me, make a game of it. Remember the Parthenon? What made it special? Remember Bernini's fountains? Where were they?" "And you'd remember?" "Most of the time, she'd get so happy when I got them right." A lump formed in Lila's throat. "I thought she just wanted me to learn, to appreciate beauty, but that's not what it was it?" "I don't think so. She was hiding something in those memories, in those images." "Yes." Lila opened her eyes. "I need that book." "Where is it?" "I told you I don't know. After she died, everything got mixed up. Her apartment, her things. It was all gone so fast." Adrian was already on his phone. "Margaret, I need you to track down a book. Blue cover, gold lettering, classical architecture. Would have been in Caroline Hart's possession 15 years ago. He listened. Yes, priority. He hung up. She'll find it. How can you be sure? Because Margaret can find anything. He made a note in his notebook. What else do you remember about those weeks? They worked for hours, question after question, memory after memory. Some came easily, others required digging. Adrian was patient, methodical, never pushing too hard, but he also never let her quit. By the time he finally called a break, Lila's head was pounding. Enough for today, he said. Did we get anywhere? Maybe. You mentioned several specific phrases your mother repeated, numbers embedded in stories, dates that don't match real events. It could be code, or it could be nothing. Which do you think it is? I think your mother was brilliant and careful, and I think she left you breadcrumbs. He stood, stretched. Get some rest. We'll try again tomorrow. Lila didn't move from the couch. What if I can't do this? What if I can't remember? Then we find another way. What other way? I don't know yet, but I'll figure it out. He looked down at her. I've kept you alive for 15 years, Layla. I'm not stopping now. After he left, she sat alone in the quiet room. Exhaustion dragged at her, but her mind wouldn't settle. Somewhere in her head was information people would kill for. Her mother had put it there, trusted her to keep it safe without even knowing she was doing it. The weight of it was crushing. She found her way back to her bedroom. Lay on the bed, fully clothed, staring at the ceiling. The nightlight cast shadows that shifted when she moved. Her phone was on the nightstand where she'd left it. She picked it up. Still 11 missed calls, still those texts. She opened the one with the photo, looked at herself sleeping, vulnerable, unaware. Then she deleted it, deleted all of them, blocked the numbers. It wouldn't stop anything. But it felt like doing something. A knock on the door made her jump. Come in, Margaret entered carrying a tray. Thought you might want dinner in your room tonight. You look tired. I am. Margaret set the tray on the desk. Chicken, vegetables, bread. All of it perfect. How long have you worked for him? Lila asked. 12 years. Do you know why? Margaret smiled slightly. Because he pays well and doesn't ask me to do anything I'm not comfortable with. That's not an answer. It's the one you're getting. She moved toward the door, then paused. He's a good man, Ms. Hart. Doesn't always make the right choices, but his intentions are solid. You could do worse for a protector. I didn't ask for a protector. No one ever does. Margaret's expression softened. Your mother did, though. Asked specifically for him. Said he was the only one she trusted. Did you know her? No. But I've heard enough about her to respect what she did. Takes courage to stand up to power. Takes love to protect your child the way she protected you. After Margaret left, Lila ate without tasting. Her mind was elsewhere. On her mother, dying in a hospital bed, playing games with architecture books, planting bombs in her daughter's memories that wouldn't detonate for 15 years. Had she known? Had she understood what it would cost Lila? The fear, the loss, the complete obliteration of normal life? Or had she just been desperate, doing the only thing she could think of to keep her daughter alive? Lila wanted to be angry, but she was too tired. Anger took energy she didn't have. She changed into the perfect pajamas, brushed her teeth with the perfect toothbrush, climbed into the perfect bed. The nightlight glowed steady. This time, when sleep came, the dreams came with it. She was 9 again, sitting beside her mother's bed. The room was too bright, too white. Everything hurt to look at. Her mother's hand was light in hers, papery, like it might crumble. Remember, her mother whispered. Remember the Pantheon. Which one? In Rome, with the oculus, the light coming through. I remember. Tell me about it. It's round, domed. The hole in the ceiling lets in rain and sun. What else? It's old, really old. 2,000 years? Close. And the name? Pantheon. Lila sounded it out carefully. Her mother smiled, squeezed her hand. Good girl. Now remember this number, 1423. Like the hotel room? Something flickered across her mother's face. Yes, like that. 1423. Can you remember? Why? Because someday you might need it, and when you do, you'll know why. Her mother's grip tightened. Promise me you'll remember. Promise me, baby. I promise. Lila woke gasping. The dream clung to her, more memory than imagination. She could still feel her mother's hand, still hear her voice. 1423. The room number where Richard Brennan died. She scrambled out of bed, didn't bother with slippers or a robe, just ran down the hallway to the room Margaret had said was Adrian's. She pounded on the door. It opened immediately. Adrian stood there in sweatpants and nothing else, gun in one hand. He scanned the hallway, then focused on her. What happened? I remembered something. He lowered the gun. Come in. His room was larger than hers, dominated by a massive bed that looked barely slept in. Papers covered the desk. Multiple laptops. Screens showing security feeds. He pulled on a shirt. What did you remember? 1423. The hotel room number. My mother made me memorize it. Adrian went very still. She what? She made it into a game. Told me to remember numbers, places, dates. I thought Lila's hands were shaking again. I thought she was just keeping me busy, distracting me. But she was hiding things, building a code. What else did she have you memorize? I don't know. I can't. It was a dream, but it felt real. More real than a dream should feel. Adrian was already at his laptop. Tell me everything, exactly as you remember it. She did. He typed while she talked, pulling up files, cross-referencing dates and numbers. The Pantheon, he said. Rome. Built by Hadrian. I know. She showed me pictures. When? During one of the hospital visits. She had that book. Adrian pulled up an image on his laptop. The Pantheon. Exactly as Lila remembered. Look at this. He zoomed in on the oculus, the hole in the ceiling. See the diameter? No. 27.5 feet. If you convert that to other measurements, he typed rapidly. You get specific numbers that could be coordinates, or dates, or what? Or a safety deposit box number, account number, anything. He looked at her. Your mother was an artist with this. She hid information in plain sight, made you memorize it without realizing. Brilliant and terrifying. So what do? We find that book, and we figure out what else she taught you. Adrian. She hadn't used his first name before. It felt strange. I'm scared. I know. What if I can't remember everything? What if I forget something important? Then we work with what you have. He closed the laptop. You should sleep, real sleep, not panic in your room until dawn. I can't go back there. So stay here. She looked at him. He looked back, expression neutral. Not like that, he said. The couch is comfortable. And if the dreams come back, I'm right here. She should have said no. Should have maintained some dignity, some boundaries. Instead, she said, okay. He gave her pillows and a blanket, made up the couch like he'd done it before. The whole time, he didn't touch her. Didn't even get close. Try to sleep, he said. We have a long day tomorrow. She lay down. The couch was comfortable. Through the doorway, she could see him return to his desk, pull up his screens. Working. Always working. Adrian? Yeah? Thank you. He didn't answer, just kept typing, but she saw his shoulders relax. Just a fraction. Lila closed her eyes. This time, sleep came easier. And if the dreams returned, she didn't remember them. Morning light woke her, slanting through windows she didn't recognize. For a confused moment, Lila thought she was back in her apartment, then the expensive leather under her cheek registered and everything came flooding back. Adrian's office. His couch. The dream about her mother and numbers that meant more than they should. She sat up. Her neck was stiff. Her mouth tasted like cotton, and Adrian was gone. The desk was empty, laptops closed, the security feeds dark. She checked her phone. 7:32. The door opened and Margaret appeared with coffee. You're awake. Good. Mr. Voss wants you downstairs in 20 minutes. Where is he? Making arrangements. Margaret set the coffee on the desk. There's clean clothes in your room. Shower if you want, but don't take forever. He's not patient this morning. Lila showered fast, the hot water doing nothing to wash away the residual unease from her dreams. When she got back to her room, she found clothes laid out again. Jeans, a simple black sweater, boots that looked practical. She dressed quickly, pulled her damp hair into a ponytail, and headed downstairs. Adrian was in the kitchen, phone pressed to his ear, his expression dark. I don't care what it costs. Find it. He hung up, saw Lila. Sit. Eat. What's going on? The book. Margaret's people can't locate it. Every donation center, every storage facility your mother might have used, nothing. Lila poured coffee. Her hands were steadier today. Small mercies. Maybe it was thrown away. Maybe. Or maybe someone got to it first. He slid a plate toward her. Toast, eggs. She was starting to hate eggs. But we're not waiting around to find out. We're taking a different approach. Which is? We're going to the hotel. The coffee turned to acid in her stomach. The Grandview? The one and only. He checked his watch. We leave in 30 minutes. Eat. Why would we go there? Because sometimes the best way to unlock a memory is to stand in the place where it was made. He finally looked at her. Your mother worked there. You visited her there. Maybe being in that space will trigger something the dreams haven't. Or maybe it'll trigger the people who are looking for me. They already know you're with me. Going to the hotel doesn't change that. He paused. But if you're not ready... I'm ready. She wasn't. But saying it out loud made it closer to true. The drive into the city took 40 minutes. Adrian drove in silence, checking mirrors constantly, taking random turns that added time but ensured no one was following. Lila watched Chicago appear around them, the lake gray and choppy, the skyline cutting into winter sky. People moving through their ordinary Wednesday like the world wasn't falling apart. The Grandview sat on North Michigan, all glass and steel and old money trying to look modern. Lila had been here before, years ago, visiting her mother during breaks, sitting in the staff room while her mother worked. The memories were hazy, filtered through time and deliberate forgetting. Adrian pulled into the parking garage, found a spot on the 3rd level, far from the elevators. Stay close to me, he said. Don't talk to anyone unless I say it's okay. And if something feels wrong, run? No, you tell me and I handle it. He opened his door. You're done running, Lila. Starting now. They took the elevator to the lobby. Lila's heart hammered. The space was exactly as she remembered. Marble floors, crystal chandeliers, furniture that cost more than most people made in a year. A few guests moved through with luggage. A businessman argued with the concierge, everything normal and wrong at the same time. This way. Adrian guided her toward the elevators with a hand at her back. Not possessive, just present. Where are we going? 14th floor. Her breath caught. The room is long gone, renovated years ago. But the floor plan is the same. The hallways, the layout. Sometimes that's enough. The elevator ride felt eternal. Lila counted floors, her breathing shallow. Beside her, Adrian was calm. Too calm, like he did this every day. The doors opened on 14. The hallway stretched in both directions, identical doors marching toward vanishing points. Lila stepped out. The carpet was different, the wallpaper new, but the shape was right. The bones of the place hadn't changed. Which way? Adrian asked quietly. She didn't know how she knew, but her feet moved left, counting doors. 12, 14, 16. The numbers climbed. 20, 22. Room 1423 had a do not disturb sign on the handle. Lila stopped. Her whole body had gone cold. This is it. You're sure? I'm sure. Adrian knocked. No answer. He pulled something from his pocket. A key card that definitely wasn't his. How did you... Don't ask questions you don't want answered. He swiped the card. The lock clicked green. The room was occupied. Suitcase on the bed, toiletries in the bathroom. Someone's life scattered across surfaces. Adrian closed the door behind them, locked it. We have maybe 10 minutes before housekeeping or the guest comes back. Look around. Tell me if anything feels familiar. Lila moved through the space. It was just a hotel room. Nice, expensive, but generic. The window looked out over Michigan Avenue. The bathroom was all white tile and chrome. Nothing special, nothing that screamed murder. But something was pulling at her. A feeling, not quite memory. The closet, she said. Adrian opened it. Empty except for hangers and an iron. What about it? I don't know, She stepped closer, looked inside. The space was small, barely big enough for a person. But there was a vent at the bottom. She crouched down. My mother told me a story once about hiding, about making yourself invisible. When? At the hospital, one of the last days. Lila touched the vent. It was screwed in tight. She said sometimes the best hiding place is somewhere no one thinks to look. Adrian was already pulling tools from his pocket. He had the vent off in seconds. Behind it was darkness. And something else. He reached in, pulled out a metal box. Small, maybe 6 inches square, sealed with a combination lock. Lila's hands started shaking. That's not possible. How would she? She worked here for years, knew every inch of this place. Adrian turned the box over. The question is, what's the combination? Try 1423. He did. The lock didn't budge. The Pantheon, Lila said. Try the diameter. 27.5. Needs 4 numbers. 2750? Click. The lock opened. Inside was a USB drive. Nothing else. Just a small flash drive wrapped in plastic, preserved like it had been waiting 15 years. Adrian pocketed it. We need to leave. Now. They replaced the vent, made sure everything looked untouched, and slipped into the hallway. A cleaning cart was 3 doors down. They walked past it toward the elevators, moving at a normal pace. Not running, not suspicious. The elevator dinged. Doors opened. 2 men stepped out. One was the professional from the train station. His face showed recognition. Go, Adrian said quietly. Lila didn't argue. She ran. Behind her, she heard impact, bodies hitting wall. Adrian's voice, cold and controlled, saying something she couldn't make out. Then footsteps coming fast. She hit the stairwell door, yanked it open, 14 flights down. She could do this. 6 floors down, her lungs were burning. 10 floors and her legs felt like water. At ground level, she burst through the door into a service hallway, followed it blindly until she found an exit. The street. People. Safety in numbers. A hand grabbed her arm. She spun, fist already swinging. Adrian caught it. It's me. Stop. She sagged against him. The men. Handled. His jaw was tight. There was blood on his knuckles. Car. Now. They made it to the parking garage without incident. Adrian drove out fast, but not recklessly, merging into traffic like they belonged. In the rear view, Lila watched the hotel shrink. What did you do to them? What I had to. He took a turn. You did good back there. Didn't panic. I ran. I told you to. That's not panic. That's following orders. He checked the mirror again. We're clear. For now. Back at the house, Adrian went straight to his office, plugged the USB drive into a laptop that wasn't connected to any network. Lila stood behind him, watching. The drive contained one file, a video dated 15 years ago. Adrian clicked play. Her mother's face filled the screen. Younger, healthy, alive. Lila's breath stopped. If you're watching this, her mother said, then I'm gone. And I'm sorry, baby. I'm so sorry for what I'm about to put you through. The video was shaky, clearly recorded on a phone. Behind her mother, Lila could see a room. Not the hospital. Somewhere else. My name is Carolyn Hart. On March 17th, I witnessed the murder of Richard Brennan at the Grandview Hotel in Chicago. I saw 2 men leave his room minutes before the gunshot. I reported it. They tried to make me forget. Her mother's voice was steady, determined. I won't forget. And I won't let them win. The video cut to different footage. Security camera footage, grainy, black and white, time-stamped. It showed a hallway. Room 1423. 2 men walking out, laughing. One was older, distinguished. The other younger, sharper. Lila's mother had zoomed in, frozen the frame. The faces were clear. The older man is Deputy Mayor William Krause. The younger is State Senator Michael Reeves. Her mother's voice continued over the frozen image. They killed Richard Brennan because he was going to expose a money laundering scheme that went all the way to the governor's office. This footage proves they were there. What comes next proves they did it. More footage. Different angle. The 2 men entering the room. Brennan was visible inside, alive, talking. The door closed. 8 minutes passed on the timestamp, then the men left. Laughing. 4 minutes later, hotel security arrived. Found the body, started the cover-up. I have documentation, Caroline continued. Bank records, emails, phone logs, everything Detective Chen collected before they killed him. It's all here. Everything you need to bring them down. The video cut back to her face. She looked tired, scared, but her eyes were fierce. Lila, baby, if you're seeing this, It means I couldn't protect you any other way. I hid this drive where only you could find it. The memories I gave you, the stories and numbers and games, they were all breadcrumbs, leading you here. Tears blurred Lila's vision. On screen, her mother's eyes were wet too. I know this isn't fair. I know you deserved a normal life. But sometimes we don't get what we deserve. We get what we're given, and what I'm giving you is a choice. She leaned closer to the camera. You can take this to the authorities, risk everything to expose the truth. Or you can destroy it, live your life, let the past stay buried. A pause. Her mother wiped her eyes. Either way, I love you. I have always loved you, and whatever you choose, I'll be proud. Because you're my daughter, and that means you're braver than you know. The video ended. Lila stood frozen. Her face was wet. She hadn't noticed she was crying. Adrian ejected the drive. There are documents, dozens of files, financial records, emails, recordings. Your mother built an airtight case. Against a deputy mayor and a state senator. Former senator. Reeves is a federal judge now, appointed 3 years ago. Adrian's voice was flat. And Krause is running for governor. Primaries in 6 months. So they're even more powerful now. Significantly. He closed the laptop, which means they have even more to lose if this goes public. Lila sank into a chair. Her whole body felt numb. My mother said I had a choice. You do. Do I? Really? She looked at him. Because it seems like the only choices are get killed trying to expose them or get killed trying to hide. There's a third option. Which is? You give the drive to me. Let me handle it. And you disappear. New identity, new life, somewhere they'll never find you. He said it without emotion. It's not perfect. But you'd be alive. And you? I do what I've always done. Keep my promises. Lila stood, walked to the window. Outside, the ground stretched empty and white, a cage made of safety. If I run, I'm running forever. Yes. And if I stay, then we fight. And fighting means risk, means danger, means possibly dying for something that might not even matter in the end. She turned to face him. Did you know? About the judge and the governor candidate? I knew they were powerful. I didn't know how powerful until I started digging after last night. He met her eyes. If we do this, Lila, we can't do it halfway. We go all in or we don't go at all. What would all in look like? We verify the evidence, make sure it's still relevant, still usable. Then we find someone we can trust. And that's the hard part, because these men have connections everywhere. We give them the drive, the documentation, everything, and we pray it's enough to bring them down before they bring us down first. That's not much of a plan. It's the only plan we have. Lila looked at the laptop, at the USB drive sitting beside it, 15 years of her mother's death condensed into a few gigabytes of data. I need time to think. You have until morning. After that, we move one way or another. Adrian picked up the drive. I'm locking this in the safe. No one else sees it until you decide. After he left, Lila stood alone in the office. The silence pressed down like weight. She could feel her mother in this room, feel her presence, her love, her terrible choice. Caroline Hart had hidden the truth in her daughter's head and hoped it would save her. Instead, it had put a target on her back. Good intentions, catastrophic results. But she'd also given Lila something else, the tools to choose, the knowledge to decide. The question was what Lila would do with it. She found Margaret in the kitchen, chopping vegetables with the kind of precision that spoke of decades of practice. Can I help? Margaret glanced up. You know how to cook? I can chop things. Then wash your hands and grab that cutting board. They worked in silence for a while. Lila's knife skills were mediocre at best, but Margaret didn't criticize, just adjusted her grip once and let her continue. How long have you known? Lila asked finally. About what my mother did? Since the beginning, Mr. Voss doesn't keep secrets from me. Margaret scraped chopped onions into a bowl. Doesn't mean I agree with all his choices, but I understand them. Do you think I should run? I think you should do what you can live with. Margaret started on carrots. Running means surviving. Fighting means possibly dying. Neither is wrong. That's not helpful. Wasn't trying to be helpful. Was trying to be honest. She looked at Lila. Your mother fought, died for it. You could learn from that. Or you could learn different. Both are valid. She didn't exactly win, though. She's dead and they're still in power. True. But she's also immortal now. Her truth lives on. That's worth something. Margaret pointed at the vegetables. Smaller pieces. We're making soup, not salad. Lila adjusted her cuts. If I fight, people could get hurt. People I care about. People are already hurt. Your friend Maya, for instance. The knife slipped. Lila caught it before it hit the floor. We don't know if she's... We know enough. Margaret's voice was gentle. Evil persists when good people do nothing. Your mother understood that. Question is, do you? Dinner was quiet. Adrian worked through it, barely touching his food. Lila ate without tasting. The soup was probably good. Everything Margaret made was good. After, Lila went to her room, lay on the bed, stared at the ceiling. Her phone buzzed. She'd been ignoring it for days, but something made her look. Unknown number. Again. She almost deleted it, then opened it instead. A photo. Maya bound to a chair, duct tape over her mouth. Her face was bruised, one eye swollen shut, but she was alive. The text below read, "You have 48 hours. The drive for your friend. Make your choice." Lila's hand shook so badly she dropped the phone. It clattered on the floor. She left it there. Ran to Adrian's office. Didn't knock, just burst through. He looked up from his laptop. Saw her face. What happened? She thrust her phone at him. He read the message. His expression went cold. When did this come through? Just now. Adrian, they have her. They're going to kill her. Maybe. Or maybe this is staged, designed to force your hand. Does it matter? If there's even a chance she's alive, then we verify it's really her. That this isn't photoshopped or old footage. He was already typing. Send me that image. She did. Watched him pull it into some kind of software, enhancing, analyzing. It's recent, he said after a moment. Today's newspaper in the background. Location? He zoomed in on a reflection in the window behind Maya. Industrial area, warehouse district, probably south side. Can you find her? Maybe. If they're stupid enough to actually keep her where they took this photo. He looked at Lila. But even if I find her, getting her out is another problem. They'll be expecting a rescue attempt. It could be a trap. I don't care. We have to try. We? You think I'm sitting here while you risk your life? That's exactly what you're doing. You're not trained for this, Lila. You'll get yourself killed, possibly me too. Then train me. Teach me. I have 48 hours. Adrian laughed. Actually laughed, bitter and sharp. You can't learn in 48 hours what takes years to master. Then teach me enough to not get killed. Teach me how to shoot, how to move. Something. She grabbed his arm. Please, I can't just sit here and do nothing. He looked at her hand on his arm, then at her face. Something shifted in his expression. If I do this, you follow every order. No questions, no hesitation. If I say run, you run. If I say shoot, you shoot. Understand? Yes. And if it comes down to you or her, I'm choosing you. That's not negotiable. The words hurt, but she understood. Okay. Get some sleep. We start at dawn. But sleep didn't come. Lila lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, thinking about Maya, about her mother, about choices that spiraled into consequences no one could control. At some point, she must have dozed because she woke to darkness and the sound of her door opening. She sat up fast. Adrian stood in the doorway, backlit by hallway light. Get dressed. We're leaving. What? Why? Because I found her. And if we don't move now, she's dead by morning. Lila was out of bed before he finished talking, pulled on the clothes from earlier, shoved her feet into boots. What about training? No time. You'll learn on the job. He handed her a jacket. Stay close, stay quiet. Do exactly what I say. Clear? Clear. They took a different car this time. Something dark and nondescript. Adrian drove fast, pushing the speed limit but not breaking it. Lila watched the city blur past. They were heading south, away from the nice neighborhoods, toward industrial sprawl. How did you find her? Track the photo's metadata. Idiots didn't scrub it properly. He took a turn. The building is abandoned, used to be a packaging facility. Now it's empty except for squatters and people who want privacy for things they shouldn't be doing. Like holding people hostage. Exactly. They parked 3 blocks away. Adrian opened the trunk, pulled out a bag. Inside were things Lila had only seen in movies: guns, ammunition, what looked like body armor. He handed her a vest. Put this on. I don't know how. He did it for her. Straps pulled tight, weight settling on her shoulders. It was heavier than she expected. Then a gun. Small, black, deadly. Safety's here, point and shoot. Don't aim for center mass, you'll miss. Aim for the biggest part of them you can see. He demonstrated. And don't shoot unless I tell you to. This is for emergencies only. Define emergency. Someone's about to kill you, and I'm not there to stop them. He checked his own gun, tucked it into a holster. Ready? She wasn't. Would never be. But she said, yes. They moved through darkness. The warehouse loomed ahead, broken windows like dead eyes. Adrian moved like a shadow. Lila tried to match his steps, stay quiet. Her heart hammered so loud she was sure everyone could hear it. He stopped at a side entrance, tested the door, locked, pulled out tools, had it open in seconds. Inside was darkness and the smell of decay. Water damage, rust, something organic rotting in corners. Adrian pulled out a small flashlight. The beam cut through black, illuminating concrete and debris. They moved deeper. Lila's breathing was too loud. She tried to control it, failed. Voices ahead, male, laughing about something. Adrian signaled her to stop. He crept forward, disappeared around a corner. Lila waited, counting seconds. 1 minute, 2. A muffled sound. Something hitting floor. Adrian reappeared, gestured her forward. 2 men lay unconscious. Adrian had already zip-tied their hands. How many more? Lila whispered. At least 4. Maybe 6. He kept moving. Stay behind me. They cleared 3 more rooms, found another guard. Adrian took him down before he could raise an alarm. Then they found the room where they were keeping Maya. Through a grimy window, Lila could see her, still tied to the chair. 2 men standing guard. One was smoking, bored, the other scrolled through his phone. Adrian studied the layout. I take left, you stay here. If anyone comes through that door, he pointed to a second entrance. You shoot, don't think, just shoot. Adrian, no time. We do this now or not at all. He moved before she could argue. The door crashed open. Gunfire erupted. Lila pressed against the wall, gun shaking in her hands. Through the window she saw Adrian move. Fast, efficient. The smoker went down. The one with the phone raised his weapon. Adrian was faster, then silence. Ringing silence that hurt her ears. Clear, Adrian called. Lila stumbled into the room. Maya was conscious, eyes wide with terror above the duct tape. Adrian was cutting her free. Can you walk? He asked. Maya nodded. He ripped off the tape. She gasped. Lila? I'm here. We're getting you out. Adrian got Maya to her feet. She could barely stand. He steadied her. We need to move, now. They made it to the door before everything went wrong. More men appeared, not 2 or 4, at least 8. They'd been waiting. Adrian shoved Maya toward Lila. Run, get her out. What about you? I'll hold them. Go. Gunfire exploded. Lila grabbed Maya, half carrying her toward the exit. Behind them, Adrian's gun answered. Then silence. Lila looked back. Adrian was down. Her world stopped. Keep moving, he gasped. Blood spread across his shirt. Don't stop. But men were coming from the exit too, blocking their escape. They were trapped. The first man came through the door. She pulled the trigger. The recoil shocked her, sent her stumbling back. The shot went wide, punched a hole in the wall 3 feet from the man's head, but it made him dive for cover, bought her seconds. More gunfire. Not from her, from Adrian, still shooting from the floor, red spreading across his chest, but his hand steady. 2 more men went down. Lila! His voice cut through the chaos. The window, top right, shoot it. She didn't understand, but she aimed where he said and fired. The glass exploded outward. Climb, Adrian gasped. Get Maya through. There's a fire escape. What about you? I'm right behind you. He was lying. She could hear it in his voice. But the men were regrouping, and Maya was barely conscious, and if Lila didn't move now, they'd all die anyway. She grabbed Maya, half-dragged, half-carried her to the wall beneath the broken window. The crates gave them a boost. Lila shoved Maya through first, heard her cry out as broken glass caught skin. Then Lila pulled herself up. The fire escape was rust and questionable welds. It groaned under their weight. Below, an alley stretched dark and empty. 3 stories down. Maybe survivable if they jumped. Maybe. Behind them, Adrian's gun went silent. Lila's heart stopped, then started again when she heard him curse, loud and angry. Still alive, still fighting. "Move," she told Maya, pushing her toward the ladder. Maya's hands were slick with blood, her own or someone else's, impossible to tell. She climbed like she was drunk, missing rungs, nearly falling twice. They were halfway down when the shooting started again. Bullets punched through the wall above them, raining brick dust. Lila looked up. A man leaned out the window, aiming. She fired without thinking, missed, fired again. The man jerked back. They hit the alley at a run. Maya stumbled, went down. Lila hauled her up. Her friend's face was gray, eyes unfocused. "Stay with me, just a little further." "I can't, Lila, I can't." "You can. You will." Lila got her arm around Maya's waist, took her weight. They lurched forward like a 3-legged race from hell. The alley opened onto a street, empty this time of night. Nothing but closed businesses and streetlights painting everything orange. The car was 3 blocks north. Lila turned that direction. Behind them, the warehouse door crashed open. Lila looked back. 4 men, maybe 5. Hard to count in the dark. She pulled Maya into the doorway of a shuttered convenience store. Set her down. Maya slumped against the wall, breathing ragged. "Don't move. Don't make a sound." "Where are you going?" "To buy us time." Lila stepped back into the open, raised the gun with both hands like she'd seen in movies. The men were closer now, close enough to see faces. The professional from the train station was among them. He smiled when he saw her. "Out of bullets yet, sweetheart?" She had no idea. Adrian had loaded the gun. She didn't know how many shots she'd fired or how many remained. She pulled the trigger. The gun clicked empty. The professional's smile widened. "That's what I thought." He raised his own weapon. Lila braced for the impact. It didn't come. Instead, a black SUV came screaming around the corner, tires shrieking. It skidded to a stop between Lila and the men. The passenger door flew open. "Get in!" Margaret's voice, sharp with urgency. Lila didn't question it. She grabbed Maya, shoved her into the back seat, threw herself in after. The door was still closing when Margaret hit the gas. Gunfire chased them. The back window spiderwebbed, but held. Margaret took a corner so hard Lila slammed into the door. Maya groaned. "How did you—" Mr. Voss activated the tracker. Knew something was wrong. Margaret's eyes flicked to the rear view. "Where is he?" "Still inside. He was shot. I don't know if—" "He's alive." Margaret said it with certainty. "If he was dead, I'd know." She drove like she'd done this before. Fast, efficient, losing their tail within minutes. Lila held Maya, feeling her friend's heart race against her ribs. Too fast. Panicked. Fast. "You're okay. We're safe now." "They killed him." Maya's voice was barely there. "Lila, they killed—" "Who?" But Maya had passed out, or given up. Hard to tell the difference. Margaret pulled into the garage of the Lake Forest house. Lila hadn't even realized they'd left the city. The gates closed behind them, with a finality that should have felt safe, but just felt final. "Help me get her inside." Together they carried Maya. She was dead weight now, completely unconscious. They got her to a guest room. Margaret produced a first aid kit that looked military grade. "You know how to do this?" Lila asked. "Better than most doctors." Margaret was already cutting away Maya's shirt, assessing damage. Bruised ribs, cuts, probably a concussion, but nothing immediately fatal. "What about Adrian? What about him?" "He was shot. In the chest. There was so much blood." "Then we wait. If he can get out, he will." Margaret's hands moved with practiced efficiency, cleaning wounds, applying bandages. "If he can't, we plan next steps." "That's it? We just wait?" "What else do you suggest? Going back for him?" Margaret looked up. Her eyes were hard. "You did good tonight, Ms. Hart. Kept your friend alive. Kept yourself alive. Don't ruin it by being stupid now." Lila wanted to argue, wanted to scream. Instead, she stood there watching Margaret work, feeling useless and terrified and angry at everything. An hour passed, then 2. Margaret finished with Maya, covered her with blankets, set up an IV from supplies Lila didn't want to know the source of. Then she made coffee, strong enough to strip paint. Lila sat at the kitchen table, hands wrapped around the mug, not drinking. Her clothes were filthy, torn. Someone else's blood, probably Maya's, stained her sleeve. The gun Adrian had given her sat on the table, empty, useless. "I killed someone," she said quietly. Margaret didn't look up from her own coffee. "Did you?" "I don't know. Maybe. I shot at them. One went down. Could have been Mr. Voss who shot him. Could have been a miss and the man tripped. Could have been a lot of things." Margaret met her eyes. "Does it bother you?" "It should, shouldn't it?" "Depends on who you are, who you want to be." Margaret sipped her coffee. "Your mother never killed anyone, but she was willing to." "That's almost the same thing." "How do you know that?" "Because anyone who fights power the way she did has to be willing to go all the way. Otherwise, you're just making noise." The front door opened. Both of them were on their feet instantly. Margaret had a gun in her hand before Lila could blink. Adrian stumbled through. Blood covered his shirt, his face pale as death. But he was walking, breathing. "You're late," Margaret said, holstering the gun. "Got held up." His words slurred. He leaned against the wall. "They're not following. Made sure of that." Lila was across the room before she could think. "You need a hospital." "Can't. Too many questions." He looked at Margaret. "You still remember how to pull a bullet?" "Unfortunately." Margaret was already moving, gathering supplies. "Dining room. I need good light." They got Adrian onto the table. He passed out halfway through Margaret, cutting away his shirt. The wound was high on his left shoulder. "Through and through," Margaret said. "Lucky. If it had been 2 inches right, it would have hit his heart." Lila held his hand while Margaret worked. His fingers were cold. She squeezed harder, like she could force warmth back into them. "Talk to him," Margaret said. "He can probably hear you." "About what?" "Anything. Just talk." So Lila talked. About nothing. About the warehouse. About Maya. About how terrified she'd been. About how she'd never fired a gun before tonight. And now she couldn't stop seeing the muzzle flash. Couldn't unhear the sound. Adrian's fingers twitched in hers. "Stay with me," she said. "You don't get to die after 15 years of keeping promises. That's not how this works." Margaret cleaned the wound, stitched it closed with the kind of skill that said this wasn't her first time. Then bandages, tight and professional. "He needs antibiotics, rest, and probably a real doctor, but he won't get one." She washed her hands. "He'll live. Unfortunately for all of us, he's too stubborn to do otherwise." They moved him to his room, got him into bed. Lila sat in the chair beside him, watching his chest rise and fall. Too slow, but steady. Morning came gray and cold. Lila hadn't slept, just sat there watching Adrian breathe, thinking about how close they'd come to dying, how close they still were. Maya woke around 9. Lila heard her moving, went to check. Her friend was sitting up, looking around the unfamiliar room with confusion turning to panic. "Hey, you're safe." Maya's eyes found her, filled with tears. "Lila, I'm so sorry. I'm so fucking sorry." "I know." "You don't understand. They told me. They said they just wanted to find you because your mother left you money, that you were entitled to an inheritance and they were trying to locate you." The words tumbled out. "I thought I was helping. I swear I thought they—" "I know." Lila sat on the edge of the bed. "They lied. Used you. The money, in my account. You saw it. Adrian showed me. I'm not even sure why I took it. I didn't need it, but they kept saying how grateful they were, how helpful I was being, and the money just appeared and I—" Maya broke down. Sobs shook her whole body. Lila held her, let her cry. What else could she do? "They grabbed me 3 days ago," Maya said, when she could talk again. "Right outside my apartment. Threw me in a van. Kept asking about you. What you'd told me. What you remembered, if you'd found anything. I didn't know what they meant. Kept saying I didn't know anything, so they—" She touched her face. The bruises had deepened overnight, purple and yellow. "They wanted to make sure I was telling the truth." "You don't have to talk about this now." "Yes, I do. You need to know." Maya grabbed Lila's hand. "They said if I didn't cooperate, they'd kill you. Make it look like an accident. And I believed them because I'd seen what they could do. So I told them everything, every conversation we'd ever had, every place you went, everything. There wasn't much to tell. I don't exactly have an exciting life." "Had," Maya said, past tense because I ruined it. "They ruined it. You were just the tool they used." Does that make it better? No, but it makes it understandable. Lila stood. You should rest. You're safe here. For how long? I don't know. Lila went back to Adrian's room. He was awake, eyes open, focused on the ceiling. You should be sleeping, she said. Can't. Hurts too much. His voice was rough. He didn't look at her. Maya? Alive? Guilty? Traumatized? The usual. The men? Dead, I think. Some of them. Maybe all. Lila sat in the chair. How many did you kill? Not enough. They'll send more. When? Soon. We bought time, not safety. He finally looked at her. You did good last night. I froze. Nearly got us killed. But you didn't. You kept moving. That's what matters. He tried to sit up, gasped, fell back. The drive. Where is it? Safe. Margaret has it. Good. We need to move on it. Today. You can barely sit up. Don't need to sit up to make phone calls. He gestured to his phone on the nightstand. Hand me that. She did. Watched him scroll through contacts with his good hand. Who are you calling? Someone who can help, maybe, if she hasn't sold out like everyone else. He pressed dial. The conversation was brief, mostly Adrian talking, someone on the other end occasionally responding. He hung up, looking marginally less like death. Alexandra Chen, daughter of the detective who investigated Brennan's murder. The one who died in the car accident. That's the one. She's a federal prosecutor now. Has been trying to build cases against corruption in Illinois for years. If anyone will listen, it's her. And if she won't, then we're out of options and out of time. He closed his eyes. She's coming here, tonight. We show her everything, and we pray it's enough. The day passed slowly. Maya stayed in her room, sleeping or crying or both. Adrian drifted in and out of consciousness. Margaret moved through the house like a ghost, cleaning, cooking, preparing for whatever came next. Lila tried to rest, failed. Her mind wouldn't stop. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the warehouse. The blood. Adrian falling, the men chasing them. The gun in her hand. She'd shot at people. Might have killed someone. And the worst part was she didn't feel as bad about it as she thought she should. Evening brought Alexandra Chen. She arrived in an unmarked car, alone, wearing a blazer and the kind of tired that came from too many lost battles. She was maybe 40, Chinese-American, with her father's eyes according to the photo Lila had seen in the file. Show me, she said. No pleasantries. No small talk. They gathered in Adrian's office. He'd made it downstairs with Margaret's help, moving like an old man. The USB drive sat on the desk between them. Adrian played the video. Alexandra watched without expression. When Caroline Hart's face appeared on screen, something flickered in the prosecutor's eyes. Recognition. Respect. The security footage played, the men entering, leaving, the timestamp clear. I've seen this before, Alexandra said. What? Not this exact footage, but something similar. My father showed me files before he died, said he was close to breaking something big. Then the accident happened and everything disappeared. She looked at Adrian. You're telling me this is what he died for? Yes. And you've had it for 15 years. Caroline hit it. I only found it recently. Alexandra's jaw tightened. My father died when I was 14. I've spent 26 years wondering if it was really an accident. If he died for nothing, and you're telling me you had proof this whole time. I had knowledge of proof. I didn't have access until Lila remembered where her mother hid it. Alexandra turned to Lila. Your mother was Caroline Hart. Yes? She worked at the Grandview. Yes. And she hid evidence of a murder in your childhood memories. Alexandra laughed, sharp, bitter. That's either genius or insane. Both, Lila said. Alexandra looked at the drive. What else is on here? Adrian plugged it into the laptop. Open folders. Financial records appeared. Bank transfers. Emails discussing money movements. Phone logs connecting Krause and Reeves to shell companies and offshore accounts. This is extensive, Alexandra said quietly. This is everything. Will it hold up in court? If I can verify it's authentic, if I can protect it from disappearing, if I can find a judge who isn't compromised. She looked up. That's a lot of ifs. But you'll try. I've been trying for years. This just gives me ammunition. She ejected the drive. I need to make copies, secure copies, and I need you both to come in. Give official statements. Can't, Adrian said. The moment we surface officially, we're dead. They have reach everywhere. Then how do you expect this to work? You take the drive, build your case. When you're ready to move, we'll come in. Not before. Alexandra studied him. You don't trust me. I don't trust anyone. No offense. None taken. Smart policy. She pocketed the drive. But I need insurance. Something that proves this is real and not some elaborate setup. Like what? The book. The one Caroline Hart used to hide information in her daughter's memories. If it still exists, I want it. Lila's stomach dropped. We can't find it. We've been looking. Then look harder. Because without corroboration, a defense attorney will shred this. Say it's fabricated, doctored, that you had years to create fake evidence. Alexandra stood. Find the book. Then we talk about next steps. After she left, the three of them sat in silence. We're screwed, Lila said finally. Not yet. Adrian was on his phone again. Margaret, get me everything you can on estate sales, donation centers, and storage facilities in Rogers Park from 15 years ago. Every single one. Already did that, Margaret called from somewhere in the house. Found nothing. Then we're missing something. He looked at Lila. Think. When your mother died, what happened to her things? The apartment was cleared out. The landlord needed it for new tenants. Most stuff was donated or thrown away. Who cleared it? I don't know. I was 9. Someone handled it. Social services? Maybe. There was a caseworker. She helped with arrangements. Name? Lila tried to remember. It was so long ago. A woman with kind eyes and a nervous smile. She'd helped Lila pack a bag of things to keep. Everything else went. Davis? Something Davis? Linda, maybe? Adrian was already typing. Linda Davis, social worker, Chicago, 15 years ago. He pulled up records. Still working, same agency, office in Uptown. You think she remembers? People remember the hard cases, dead mother, orphaned kid. That sticks with you. He stood, swayed. Margaret appeared to steady him. You're not going anywhere, Margaret said firmly. I have to... No, you have to heal. Ms. Hart can handle this. Lila looked between them. Handle what? Talking to Linda Davis, finding out what happened to the book. Margaret met her eyes. You're not helpless, Ms. Hart. You proved that last night. Now prove it again. The next morning, Lila took the train into the city. Alone. Margaret had wanted to send her in a car with a driver, but Lila refused. She needed to feel normal, even if normal was a lie. The social services office was exactly as depressing as expected. Fluorescent lights, stained carpet, people waiting with the kind of patience that came from having no other choice. Linda Davis had her own office. Small, cramped, every surface covered in files. She looked up when Lila knocked. Help you? I'm Lila Hart. You helped place me after my mother died. 15 years ago. Recognition dawned. Linda stood. Lila, my goodness, I remember you. You were so small. I'm looking for something. A book that belonged to my mother. Blue cover, gold lettering, pictures of classical architecture. I remember that book. You wanted to keep it, but it was too heavy for your bag. Lila's heart jumped. What happened to it? I took it. Promised I'd keep it safe until you were old enough to handle it. Linda moved to a filing cabinet. I've moved offices 3 times since then. Keep meaning to track you down. Return it. But you know how it is. Things slip through the cracks. She pulled out a box, set it on the desk. Inside, wrapped in tissue paper, was the book. Lila's hands shook as she unwrapped it. The cover was just as she remembered. Blue, gold lettering, heavy. I can't believe you kept it. Your mother died young. Seemed wrong to let her things just disappear. Linda smiled. I'm glad you came looking. Lila left with the book clutched to her chest. Outside, the city moved around her. Normal people living normal lives. She'd been one of them once. Now she was something else. Something harder. Something that knew how to shoot. She made it 2 blocks before she realized she was being followed. The man was good, stayed back, blended in, but she'd learned to notice, to watch. She ducked into a coffee shop, out the back, into an alley. The man followed. Lila ran, behind her footsteps. Getting closer, she clutched the book, turned a corner, nearly slipped on ice. A hand grabbed her arm. She spun, swinging the book like a weapon. It connected with the man's face. He stumbled back. She ran again, saw a bus pulling away from a stop, sprinted for it. The driver saw her, waited. She jumped on as the doors closed. Through the window, she saw the man. Watching, not following. She rode the bus in circles, changed lines 3 times, made sure she was alone before heading back to Lake Forest. At the house, Adrian was up, still pale, still hurting, but functional. You found it. She handed him the book. They followed me. 1 man. I lost him. You're sure? I'm sure. Adrian opened the book, started going through pages. Maya appeared in the doorway, moving slowly. What's that? Evidence, Lila said. Maybe. They spread pages across the desk. Classical architecture filled every image. The Parthenon, the Colosseum, Roman forums, Greek temples. Each photo had sticky notes in Caroline's handwriting, dates, numbers, notes that seemed random. It's a cipher, Adrian said. Has to be. She embedded information in the captions. How do we crack it? We don't. We give it to Alexandra and let her figure it out. But when Adrian called Alexandra Chen, the number went to voicemail. He tried again, same result. That's not good, he said. Maybe she's just busy. Or maybe they got to her. Margaret appeared with a laptop. News, you should see this. She turned the screen. A news report showed Alexandra Chen being led from her office in handcuffs. The headline read, Federal prosecutor arrested for evidence tampering. No, Lila breathed. The report continued. Anonymous sources claimed Chen had fabricated evidence in multiple cases. An internal investigation was underway. She'd been suspended pending review. They're silencing her, Adrian said, making sure anything she brings forward looks like more fabrication. What do we do? We go to ground, deep, until we figure out another play. He looked at Lila. Pack a bag. We're leaving. Where are we going? Somewhere they won't think to look. An hour later, they were gone. The house in Lake Forest sat empty. Margaret had vanished, the drives, the book, anything that mattered, left behind a shell that looked lived in but contained nothing. They drove west, out of Illinois, into Wisconsin. Found a cabin on a lake that looked abandoned but had heat and running water. Cash transaction, no names, off the grid. Maya was with them, pale, quiet, but alive. Adrian was healing. Lila was something she couldn't name yet. That night, sitting in front of a fire, Adrian finally spoke. Your mother gave you a choice, remember? Yes. Time to make it. We can stay hidden, live quiet, hope they forget about us. They won't forget. No, they won't. He looked at the fire. Or we fight. Take the book, the drive, everything we have. Find someone new to trust. Start again. And probably die trying. Probably. Lila thought about her mother, about 15 years of hiding, about Maya's bruised face and Adrian's blood on warehouse concrete, about men who killed and lied and thought they were untouchable. I'm tired of being afraid, she said. That's not an answer. Yes, it is. She looked at him. We fight. 3 months in a Wisconsin cabin taught Lila things she'd never wanted to know. How to strip and clean a gun in under a minute. How to identify a car tailing you from 4 blocks away. How to sleep light enough that footsteps outside meant instant waking. How to stop flinching at loud noises and start calculating exit routes instead. Adrian trained her, not gently, every morning before dawn, before Maya woke up crying from nightmares, before the sun turned the frozen lake into something almost beautiful. He made her run until her lungs burned, fight until her knuckles bled, shoot until the recoil felt natural instead of violent. Again, he'd say, and she'd raise the gun, sight the target, breathe out slow, and squeeze. The shoulder wound had healed badly. He moved stiff on that side now, favored his right arm. But he never complained, just pushed through it like pain was something that happened to other people. Maya tried to help, cooked meals from the limited supplies Margaret dropped off every week, cleaned obsessively because sitting still meant thinking. But mostly, she just existed in the spaces between them, a ghost of the person she'd been. I looked her up, Maya said one night. They were sitting by the fire, Adrian asleep upstairs, his breathing still rough sometimes. Alexandra Chen, the prosecutor. And She's fighting the charges, has a good lawyer, but the evidence against her keeps piling up. Bank records showing payments from people she prosecuted, emails that look damning. Maya stared into the flames. It's all fake. Has to be. But it looks real enough that her career is over regardless. They're good at that, making lies look like truth. We're going to end up the same way, aren't we? Discredited, destroyed. Even if we survive, we'll be the crazy ones nobody believes. Lila didn't answer, because Maya was probably right. The book sat on the table between them. They'd spent weeks trying to decode it. The sticky notes made no sense. Dates that didn't match historical events, numbers that weren't coordinates or phone numbers or account codes, just random sequences that felt significant but led nowhere. Your mother was smarter than all of us, Maya said. She knew they'd look for obvious patterns, so she made something only you could understand. Except I don't understand it. You will. You have to. Maya looked at her. Because if you don't, she died for nothing, and I got tortured for nothing, and Adrian took a bullet for nothing. No pressure. I'm serious, Lila. This has to mean something. After Maya went to bed, Lila sat alone with the book, turned pages until her eyes burned. Her mother's handwriting appeared on every sticky note, small, precise, the same handwriting that had signed permission slips and birthday cards, and the last note she'd left in the hospital that just said, I love you. She picked up her phone. Signal was terrible out here, but Margaret had set up some kind of secure connection. Lila scrolled through old photos, found one from years ago, her 9th birthday. Her mother had made a cake, lopsided, frosting smeared, and they'd eaten it together in that tiny apartment. The photo showed the cake, and behind it, barely visible, the blue book. Lila zoomed in. The book was open to a specific page. She could just make out the image, the Pantheon. Rome. She grabbed the physical book, flipped to the Pantheon. The sticky note read, Remember the light, 27.5 to 142 degrees to March. 27.5, the oculus diameter. But 142 degrees in March meant nothing. Unless. She pulled up her phone again, searched for March and 142, found nothing relevant. Tried March 17th, the day of Brennan's murder. Still nothing. Then she noticed something else in the birthday photo. Her mother's hand, holding a pen. She was writing something on another sticky note. The angle made it impossible to read, but the color was different. Yellow, not pink like all the others in the book. Lila went through every page, found 3 yellow sticky notes. The Pantheon, the Colosseum, the Parthenon. The 3 places her mother had quizzed her on most often. She laid the book flat, put the 3 images side by side. The notes read, Pantheon, remember the light, 27.5 to 142 degrees to March. Colosseum, 80 gates, 4 levels, count up. 17, Parthenon, perfect proportion, 1 to 2 to 3 ratio, gold. Her mother had taught her about the golden ratio, about proportion and beauty in classical architecture. She'd made it a game. Lila would measure things around the apartment, find the ratios, see if they matched. 1 to 2 to 3. The room number. 1, 4, 2, 3. Split different, not 14, 23. 1, 4, 2, 3. She grabbed a pen, started writing. March 17th, the murder date. The Pantheon note mentioned March. 80 gates. The Colosseum had 80 entrances, but the note said count up. 17. So 17 up from 80. 97 and 142 degrees. Temperature? No. Angle? Could be. She pulled out her laptop, searched for March 17th and 97 and 142. Got nothing. Tried 3/17/97, a date. March 17th, 1997. That was 18 years before her mother's death. She'd been young, maybe 20. Where was she in 1997? Lila searched Caroline Hart in 1997. Found an old address listing. Her mother had lived in Iowa that year, working as a student nurse. The search returned something else. A news article from March 17th, 1997. Small story. A nursing student had reported witnessing an assault near the University of Iowa hospital. The report had gone nowhere. The student's name was redacted, but the location was specific. 142 degrees latitude and longitude converted to an address. Lila's hands shook as she typed it in. The address appeared. A building in Iowa City, long demolished, but the property records showed who'd owned it in 1997. A shell company. The same shell company that appeared in the financial records from the USB drive. Adrian. She was up the stairs before she could think, burst into his room without knocking. Adrian, wake up! He had a gun pointed at her before his eyes were fully open, saw who it was, lowered it. What's wrong? Nothing's wrong. Everything's right. I figured it out. She showed him everything. The notes, the pattern, the connection. He sat up, ignoring the pain it caused, studying her work. Your mother witnessed something in Iowa, years before Chicago, and the same people were involved. It's not just about Brennan's murder. It's bigger. She was building a pattern, showing these men had been doing this for decades. Lila's words tumbled out. That's why she hid it so carefully, because it wasn't just one crime, it was a whole network. Adrian was already on his phone. Margaret, I need everything you can find on criminal activity in Iowa City, March 1997. Specifically, anything involving, he rattled off the shell company name, listened. Good. Send it encrypted. He hung up, looked at Lila. Really looked, like he was seeing her clearly for the first time. You did it. You actually did it. We still need someone to take this too. Alexandra's compromised. Then we find someone else. He was out of bed now, moving despite the stiffness. Get Maya up. Pack everything. We're going back to Chicago. That's insane. They're watching the city. Good. Let them watch. Time to stop hiding. The drive back took 6 hours. They arrived after dark, went straight to a hotel downtown, not the Grandview. Somewhere anonymous, paid cash, used fake names. Margaret met them in the lobby. She'd aged in 3 months. Or maybe Lila was just seeing her clearly now. The exhaustion, the constant vigilance. You're sure about this? Margaret asked. No, Adrian said, but we're doing it anyway. They gathered in the hotel room. Margaret spread documents across the bed. The USB drive contents, the decoded book, new research she'd compiled. Together it painted a picture of corruption going back 30 years. Money laundering, murder, blackmail, all connected to the same handful of people who'd moved up through Illinois politics like a cancer. Krauss announced his candidacy yesterday, Margaret said. For governor, he's polling well. If he wins, he won't, Lila said. You sound certain. I am. She picked up her phone, started recording. My name is Lila Hart. My mother was Caroline Hart. 15 years ago, she witnessed a murder. They killed her for it. Tried to kill me. But here's what they don't know. We have everything. She held up the USB drive to the camera. Every financial record, every email, every piece of evidence showing exactly what William Krauss and Michael Reeves have done, not just in Chicago, going back decades, and we're not hiding anymore. She stopped recording. Post it everywhere, every social media platform, every news outlet. Send it to journalists, bloggers, anyone with an audience. They'll come for us, Maya said quietly. They're already coming. Might as well make noise while we can. Lila looked at Adrian. Unless you have a better idea. I have a worse idea. He pulled out his phone, made a call. This is Adrian Voss. I need to speak to Deputy Mayor Krauss. Tell him I have Caroline Hart's daughter. Tell him we're ready to deal. The meet was set for midnight, Navy Pier. Public enough to be safe, empty enough to be dangerous. Adrian wanted Lila to stay at the hotel. She refused. They argued about it for an hour before he gave up. You wear a vest. You stay behind me. And if I say run, I run. I know the drill. Maya wanted to come too. Adrian shut that down immediately. She wasn't trained, would be a liability. Margaret would stay with her at the hotel, keep her safe. If we don't come back, Lila started. You'll come back, Margaret said firmly. You've survived this long. You'll survive tonight. The pier was dead this time of year, closed to tourists, just empty boardwalk and shuttered attractions and the lake stretching black into nothing. Lila walked beside Adrian. The vest felt heavy. The gun at her back felt heavier. Nervous? He asked. Terrified. Good. Keeps you sharp. He scanned the darkness. Remember the plan. I talk. You record everything. When I give the signal, you run. What's the signal? You'll know. 3 cars were parked at the end of the pier. Expensive sedans. Men stood beside them. At least 8 that Lila could see. Probably more in the shadows. William Krause stepped forward. He looked different from his photos. Older, tired, but his eyes were sharp. "Mr. Voss, I've heard a lot about you." "Wish I could say the same." Adrian stopped 10 feet away. "But you're not exactly someone who leaves a trail." "That's the point." Krause's gaze shifted to Lila. "And this is Caroline's daughter. You have her eyes." Lila said nothing, just hit record on the phone hidden in her jacket pocket. "You said you wanted to deal," Krause continued. "So let's deal. You have something I want. Name your price." "There's no price. This isn't a negotiation." "Everything's a negotiation, Mr. Voss. You've been in this business long enough to know that." "This isn't business. This is justice." Krause laughed. Actually laughed. "Justice? What a quaint concept. Justice is for people who can afford lawyers, for people with power. You have neither." "I have the truth." "The truth?" Krause gestured at the darkness around them. "The truth is whatever I say it is. I've been shaping the truth for 30 years. You think some USB drive in a dead woman's diary will change that?" "I think the video my associate just posted to every major platform might." Adrian checked his watch. "Should be going viral right about now." Krause pulled out his phone, scrolled. His expression darkened. "You're bluffing." "Check Twitter or don't. Doesn't matter. It's already out there. Your face, Reeves's face, walking out of that hotel room, all time-stamped, all verified." Adrian smiled. "You're done." "You stupid—" Krause gestured. His men moved forward. Adrian's hand went to his gun. "I wouldn't." "You're outnumbered, outgunned. You really think you're walking away from this?" "No, but neither are you." Adrian's voice was calm. "Because I sent copies to the FBI, to the Attorney General, to every news organization in the country. You can kill us, but you can't kill the truth anymore. It's already free." For a long moment, nobody moved. Lila's heart hammered. Her hand inched toward her gun. Then sirens cut through the night. Krause spun. Red and blue lights appeared at the entrance to the pier. Cars. Multiple cars. "You set me up. I gave you a choice. You made the wrong one." Adrian stepped back. "Lila, run." But she didn't need to. The FBI cars surrounded them. Agents emerged, weapons drawn. "William Krause, you're under arrest." Krause looked at Adrian, then at Lila. Something flickered in his eyes. Fear. Finally. They took him away in handcuffs, took his men too. An agent approached Adrian, spoke quietly, handed him a card. When the pier cleared, Adrian turned to Lila. "It's over." She couldn't quite believe it. "Just like that?" "Just like that. What about Reeves?" "They're picking him up now, and everyone else on your mother's list." He looked exhausted, like 15 years of weight had finally lifted. "It's actually over." The agent who'd given Adrian the card approached Lila. "Ms. Hart, I'm Agent Morrison. I need to ask you some questions." "Now?" "Whenever you're ready, but we'll need an official statement about everything." Everything took 3 days. Lila told her story so many times it stopped feeling real. Just words repeated until they lost meaning. But the evidence held up. The USB drive was authenticated. The financial records verified. The video went viral exactly as Adrian had planned. Millions of views, millions of people seeing what her mother had witnessed all those years ago. William Krause resigned. Michael Reeves was removed from the bench. Federal charges piled up. Conspiracy, murder, money laundering, corruption charges that would put them away for life. And slowly, carefully, other things started unraveling. The shell companies, the network of people they'd protected. 15 years of buried crimes coming to light. Alexandra Chen was exonerated. The evidence against her disappeared as quickly as it had appeared. She held a press conference, standing beside Lila, and said Caroline Hart was a hero. Maya testified, gave them everything about how she'd been manipulated, used, threatened. The prosecutor promised her immunity for cooperation, promised safety. A month after Navy Pier, Lila stood in the office of the U.S. Attorney. They were returning the USB drive, the book, everything, physical evidence for the trials. "Your mother would be proud," the U.S. Attorney said. "What she built, what you finished, it's going to change everything." Will it? People in power are scared right now. That's something. Maybe. Lila took the copies they offered. Legal, certified, everything documented. Outside, Adrian was waiting. He'd given his own testimony, admitted to things Lila suspected but had never asked about. They'd given him immunity, too, for cooperation, for services rendered. What now, she asked. Now you get to choose. For real this time. No one hunting you, no one watching. He looked at her. You can go back to being a librarian. Live the quiet life you wanted. Can I? I don't know, can you? She thought about it. About her apartment in Rogers Park, the library stacks, the invisible life she'd lived. It felt like something from a different lifetime. Something that belonged to a different person. What about you? She asked. What will you do? Same thing I've always done. Keep promises. Help people who need it. He paused. There's always someone who needs it. That sounds lonely. It is. They walked in silence for a while. Chicago moved around them. Spring was coming, the cold finally breaking. People filled the streets, living their ordinary lives. I could help, Lila said, with the promise-keeping, if you wanted. Adrian stopped walking. You want to work with me? I want to do something that matters, and I'm good at this now. You made sure of that. You'd be in danger, constantly. I've been in danger my whole life, just didn't know it. She met his eyes. At least this way I'm choosing it. He studied her, then nodded. There's an opening. My last associate quit after the warehouse, said it was too intense. Smart person. Very smart, which is why I'm questioning your judgment. I've always had terrible judgment. Ask Maya. Maya had gone back to Lincoln Park, back to her apartment that had been cleaned out and mysteriously returned to normal. She was seeing a therapist 3 times a week, working through trauma. She'd quit her finance job, said she was done helping rich people get richer. Lila met her for coffee once a week. They didn't talk about the warehouse or the fear or the guilt, just normal things. Movies, books, the weather. Slowly, they were building something new, not the friendship they'd had before. That was gone, broken by betrayal, even if it wasn't Maya's fault, but something else, something honest. I'm working with Adrian, Lila told her over coffee in late May. Doing what? Security, protection, whatever you want to call it. Maya stirred her latte. That's either the bravest or stupidest thing you've ever done. Probably both. Does it pay well? Apparently, better than the library. Will you be safe? Safer than I was as a librarian. At least now I know how to shoot back. Maya laughed, then cried, then laughed again. Your mother would have thoughts about this. Probably, but she's not here to share them. What would you tell her if she was? Lila thought about it. About Caroline Hart, who'd fought and lost but made sure the fight continued. Who'd loved her daughter enough to turn her into a weapon without her even knowing. I'd say thank you for trusting me, for believing I was strong enough. Lila wiped her eyes. And I'd say I'm sorry it took 15 years, but I finished what you started. The trials took 2 years. Lila attended every day she could, watched Krause and Reeves sit in court, their expensive lawyers arguing technicalities while the evidence mounted. The jury deliberated for 3 days. Guilty on all counts. Lila was in the courtroom when they read the verdict, felt her mother's presence like a hand on her shoulder. Justice. Finally. Adrian had been right, though. One victory didn't change the system. Power found new faces, new names, corruption adapted. But Lila adapted too. She learned things working with Adrian, how to read people, how to spot danger 3 moves ahead, how to help someone disappear when they needed to, how to bring someone back when they ran. Some cases were simple. Protection details, background checks, basic security. Others were complicated. Trafficking victims who needed extraction, witnesses who needed safeguarding, people like her mother who'd seen too much and paid for it. Those were the ones that mattered. A year into the work, they took a case in Milwaukee. A woman who'd witnessed her boss embezzling from a charity. Simple on paper, dangerous in practice. They protected her through the trial. Made sure she could testify. The boss went to prison. Afterward, the woman asked Lila how she'd gotten into this work. My mother, Lila said. She taught me that some things are worth fighting for, even when you're scared, especially when you're scared. Was she brave? Terrified, But she did it anyway. That's what brave means. 3 years after Navy Pier, Lila stood in a cemetery in Rogers Park. Her mother's grave was simple, just a marker with her name and dates. Nothing about what she'd done, nothing about the fight she'd started. Lila brought flowers, set them down. "I'm okay," she said to the stone. "In case you were wondering, it got bad for a while. Really bad. But I made it through." The wind rustled through trees. Somewhere a bird sang. "Adrian's good, stubborn, kind of a pain, but good. You chose well." She knelt down, traced her mother's name. "And Maya's healing, slowly. I think she'll be okay too." A car pulled up. Adrian, right on time. He'd offered to wait in the car, give her privacy, but she'd asked him to come. He stood beside her, quiet. "Caroline," he said to the grave, "I kept my promise. She's safe. She's strong. She's exactly who you hoped she'd be." They stood there for a while, then walked back to the car together. "You hungry?" Adrian asked. "Starving. Margaret made lasagna, said she'd keep it warm." Margaret had left the house in Lake Forest, moved to a smaller place in the city, but she still cooked for them, still appeared with coffee and advice when needed. The house they'd bought was in Ravenswood, smaller than Lake Forest but big enough for an office, a training room, living space for both of them. Separate bedrooms but shared purpose. People asked sometimes if they were together. Lila always said it was complicated, because it was. Adrian had kept his promise to a dying woman for 15 years, had watched over Lila from a distance, then up close, had taught her to survive, to fight. That created a bond that was more than professional, but different than romantic. Family, maybe. Or something that didn't have a name yet. Whatever it was, it worked. They built something good together. A security firm that actually protected people instead of just enriching themselves. They took cases others wouldn't touch. Paid well when clients could afford it. Did it for free when they couldn't. Word spread. People who needed help found them. 5 years after her mother's death was finally avenged, Lila sat in their office going through new case files. A woman in Springfield who'd witnessed police corruption. A man in Rockford whose daughter had disappeared. A family in Evanston being threatened by someone they'd testified against. She'd handle the woman. Adrian would take the man. The family would need both of them. Her phone buzzed. Maya, sending a photo. She'd started painting again. Something she'd loved before finance consumed her. The canvas showed a woman's silhouette against city lights. "Beautiful," Lila texted back. "Come see it in person. Dinner tomorrow?" Lila checked her calendar. The Springfield case could wait a day. "Yes." 7? Perfect. Adrian appeared in the doorway. Margaret called. Something about needing help moving furniture. She has furniture movers. That's what I said. She said it needed a personal touch. Which means she wants company. Probably. He leaned against the doorframe. The shoulder still bothered him sometimes. He'd never admit it. "We should go." "Now? Do you have something better to do?" Lila looked at the case files, at the people who needed help. They'd still be there tomorrow. Margaret needed them today. "Let me grab my coat." They drove to Margaret's new place. She answered the door with flour on her hands and exasperation on her face. "There's no furniture to move, is there?" Lila asked. "Of course not. I just made pot roast and needed people to eat it." Margaret ushered them in. "Honestly, you'd think after all this time you'd see through my tricks." They ate together, talked about nothing important, laughed at Margaret's stories about her neighbors, about the couple upstairs who fought constantly but claimed to be blissfully happy, normal, ordinary. Everything Lila's mother had wanted for her, but also everything her mother had given up. Because sometimes normal wasn't enough. Sometimes you had to fight. After dinner, Lila stood on Margaret's balcony. The city spread out below. Millions of lives being lived, most of them ordinary, some hiding extraordinary pain. Adrian joined her. "You okay?" "Yeah, just thinking." "About?" "My mother. About how she'd probably hate that I do this work, that I put myself in danger. Or she'd understand that you're finishing what she started. Maybe. Or maybe she'd just want me to be happy." "Are you? Happy?" Lila thought about it, about the fear that still woke her sometimes, about the scars, physical and otherwise, that would never fully heal. About the weight of knowing what evil looked like up close, but also about the people they'd helped, the lives they'd saved, the small victories against overwhelming darkness. "Yeah," she said, "I think I am." 10 years after that night on Navy Pier, Lila stood in a courtroom again. Different case, different criminals, same fight. The victim she was protecting sat on the witness stand, young, terrified, but holding steady. Lila had trained her, taught her to breathe through panic, to speak truth even when it felt impossible. The testimony was devastating, detailed, unshakable. The defense attorney tried to break her, failed. Another guilty verdict, another small victory. Outside the courthouse, the victim's mother grabbed Lila's hands. "Thank you. Thank you for keeping her safe, for making her strong." "She was already strong. I just helped her see it." The woman hugged her. Lila let her. Even though hugs still felt awkward sometimes, Adrian was waiting by the car. Over the years, the gray had spread through his hair. Lines had deepened around his eyes. But he still moved like someone ready for anything. "Good work in there." "She did all the work. I just stood nearby looking intimidating." "You're terrible at looking intimidating." "Excuse me, I'm very intimidating." "You're 5'3" and you apologize to furniture when you bump into it. That's called being polite." They drove back to the office. Maya was waiting. She'd joined them 2 years ago. Not for field work. She was clear about that. But for research, analysis, support. The things she was actually good at. "The Evanston family called," Maya said. "The threat stopped. They wanted to say thank you." "That's good news." "Also, you have 3 new case inquiries. 2 look legitimate. 1 is definitely a scam." "How can you tell?" "The scammer's email had 17 exclamation points and used Comic Sans." Lila laughed. "Delete it." "Already did." This was her life now. Not the quiet invisibility she'd once wanted, but something bigger, harder, more real. Her mother had hidden truth in her daughter's memories, hoping it would save her. Instead, it had transformed her, made her into someone who could save others. Maybe that's what Caroline Hart had wanted all along. Not safety, but purpose. Lila would never know for sure, but she liked to think her mother would approve. That night, alone in her apartment, she'd kept her own place even though she spent most of her time at the office or with Adrian. Lila pulled out the old photo, her 9th birthday, her mother smiling behind a lopsided cake. "I miss you," she said to the photo. "Every day. But I'm okay. Better than okay. I'm doing something that matters." She set the photo back on the shelf. Beside it was the blue book. She'd kept it after the trials ended. A reminder. A talisman. Her phone buzzed. Adrian, asking if she wanted to grab breakfast before the Springfield meeting tomorrow. "Yes," she texted back. 7? Make it 6. Long drive. You're evil. "I know." Lila set down the phone, looked around her apartment. Small, simple, hers. Tomorrow she'd drive to Springfield, help someone who needed it, fight a small battle in a war that would never really end. Tonight she'd sleep. Dream about the warehouse sometimes, about her mother sometimes, about the future sometimes. And in the morning she'd wake up. Make coffee, meet Adrian for breakfast, do the work. Not because it was easy, because it mattered. Her mother had taught her that, the hard way. But she'd learned, and she wasn't done yet. Not by a long shot, because some promises took a lifetime to keep, and some fights were worth everything. Lila Hart understood that now, finally, and she wouldn't have it any other way.